Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, some real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, coming to you by the Prince of Party, Party Boy Pete McCormick, and our guest today is the dangerous one, dangerous Diana Spencer. Party Boy Pete, how are you feeling, my man?
I'm feeling pretty good, Matt. As everyone knows, Diana is the female voice of the Working Perspectives, and now we're finally going in depth, see what this girl is all about.
Dude, can't wait. Can't wait to go in depth on Diana the Dangerous One. It's going to be good. All right. Well, you can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show and think you have what it takes to come on here and tear it down with the likes of us, then do us a favor and email us at workperspectives@gmail.com and we'll book you. I'll book you. All right. Well, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right. Party boy. Missed you last couple weeks, buddy. But we had J-Dub fill in for you. He did a good job.
Oh, nice. I love J-Dub.
Love J-Dub. I thought if I had to pick a replacement for you, Pete, I thought, you know what? He'd be okay with J-Dub. Was I right?
Yeah. I'm not upset. I like J-Dub. He's a character as well, and he knows how to party himself. Boy J-Dub.
That's it. So today's guest, you know her from her work on the Working Perspectives Podcast, Weekend Poppin'. And like you said, she is the voice of reason sometimes and the female perspective on the Working Perspectives Podcast, Weekend
She checks
Poppin'.
our testosterone, Matt.
Whew, she sure does. Checks it right at the door. I'll tell you what else she does. She keeps that strong stem in line pretty good, you know?
Oh, yeah. Someone's got to.
Yeah, how about it, man?
I've never had any success.
I don't think anyone has, really. I think she's the first, you know? But she's the voice of the representative of the female gender on the Work Perspectives Podcast, Weekend Poppin'. So we've gotten to see some glimpses of her there and get to know her a little bit, but really, really excited. Like you said, we're really going to get to know her today. Before we get started, I would like to share a story as to the type of person the dangerous one is. And when I say the dangerous one, I mean Diana Spencer. Okay.
Regale us.
I'll regale the shit out of you. So Graham's Pub, land of the free, home of the brave. You know it, you love it.
I've been there.
You've been there. You've cartwheeled into there, pal. I was working there Sunday night, right? And Diana and me used to do alternating shifts there on Sunday night. So like I would do one week, she would do the next. Right. So like we would do every other week.
Smart girl.
Very smart, right? And then like if it was like a big night, we would work together. Like if it's like a Super Bowl or like a big event or whatever, you know. But Diana was
the extra staff.
Exactly.
There's enough money. There's enough tips to go around. Spread the wealth.
Spread the wealth, baby. That's it. But Diana was also working at another bar in an apartment complex nearby, right? So whenever she wasn't working, when I was working, she would be working at the other bar, you know?
Was this a clubhouse, Matt?
It was a clubhouse. We'll just say it's a scum clubhouse, if you know what I mean.
Is this apartment building an adult dormitorium, more or less?
Pretty much, brother. Pretty much. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like it. But so this is what's going down. So I'm working on Sunday, and it's like a normal Sunday night, right? Things are going well, whatever, things are normal. It comes around time 2 a.m, right? And it's time to close up. So I'm like trying to close up. Then one of our buddies, his name's J Mac. He's a good dude. He comes out of the bathroom and he's like, "Hey, bro, like one of the pipes is leaking in the bathroom, right? In the men's room." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck on me." Right. So there's people like coming in and going, and I'm like back there, and it's like I can feel it sloshing like under my shoes. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I call the owner right away. Doesn't answer. Call him again. Doesn't answer. And I'm like, fucking calling this guy. Finally answers. And I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. There's a major fucking leak in the bathroom. And now it's like up to like almost my ankles, right? In water. And it's fucking flooding, right? And I'm fucking losing my mind. And I'm like, how the fuck do I shut this stuff off? Where's the water, right? How do I shut this off? And he's like, I don't know. I got to call Tony. I'll call you back. So he's like calling Tony and like doing all these things. And Tony's like one of the other guys that works there. And he's like, where's the fucking water valve? And Tony just says, oh, it's in the kitchen behind the fridge. Right. And I'm like, there's 4 fucking fridges in there. Right. So I just run to the kitchen. And I start pulling all the fridges and looking for a valve. I'm turning every valve. Not working. Right. Then I finally get the water valve and turn it off. Dude, it's like 3 a.m. This thing has been fucking pumping out water for like an hour, right? It's fucking so flooded, right?
Throughout the entire bar, not just the bathroom.
Dude, like everything. So you know how the bar looks. There's the bathroom and then like the back part of the bar and then the main bar. It's flooded out so that it's from the bathroom. It's now touching the main bar, right? Yeah. Dude,
luckily the kitchen's not anywhere near the bathroom.
I mean, okay. So he finally stopped the water, and I'm like, dude, I'm like fucking out of my mind at this point, like so fucking like frazzled, right? Because I'm like, fuck, because the whole time I'm like, God damn it. And then the owner just goes like, okay, relax, everything's fine, just clean up the water and take off. And I'm like, motherfucker. And I was like, God damn it. So they have an HVAC there and things like that. But dude, like I'm beside myself, like just fucking exhaustion and everything, right? So I'm like trying to clean up this water. It's taking me forever, right? So what do I do?
Well, luckily you work based on tips, so you were making a lot of money for cleaning up this water.
I mean, yeah, I was making a ton. While I just threw everyone out. I went like. When it started leaking, I was like, everyone get the fuck out of here right fucking now. We are fucking closed. As soon as everyone went out, I locked the door. I was like, I'm not fucking dealing with anybody. Right. Because I was just on the phone. Like, I'm trying to get this thing figured out.
I got you.
So anyway, I'm like cleaning up this water with a shop vac and everything. And it's taking forever. And I'm like fucking losing my mind. I'd work the next morning. Right. Like I was supposed to be at work at like 8 a.m. I'm like, fuck me. So what did I do? I called a friend. I phoned a friend, and who did I call? But none other than the dangerous one, who, to remind you, just got done working a shift at another bar that, as we had previously stated, it has some scum, we'll say. Right? So it's not like it was an easy shift. So she's working at the other bar. She's done. I think she was just getting home when I called her. And I'm like, D, you need to help me, please. And she's like, what's wrong? I was like, the fucking bar flooded. I have to clean it up. I'm fucking dying here. Can you please come and help me? So she lives like 15 minutes away from the bar. Well, 10, 15 minutes. But like, also it's fucking almost 4 a.m. at this point. She just got done working a long shift. She's tired. Yep. But what does she do? She jumps in her car and hops on over to Graham's Pub, Land of the Free, Home of the Brave, and she helps me clean up the water. We get it done in like, with the two of us, we were able to get it done in like an hour, right? So by the time we were like, because I still had to, also after cleaning up the water, I had to close the bar, right? Which means like I had to like clean stuff, I had to do the drawer, I had to sweep, I didn't have to mop.
It's not like it's 2 a.m. and you just go home. There's other stuff that has to be done
Yeah.
Even when there's no floods.
Oh yeah, people don't realize that when they're like when you do last call and they're like, "What, dude? Like, come on, stay open for another hour." It's like it's another hour for you. That means it's another 2 hours for me because it takes an hour to clean everything up and get the fuck out of here, right?
Yeah.
So either way, D gets there, we clean it up. She helps me close down the bar. By the time we're done, it's 5:30 in the morning, right?
Jesus.
We both have work the next day at our like office jobs, right? I think she ended up going to work. I fucking did a PTO. I texted my boss. I was like, bro, still, I'm getting home from the bar now. The fucking bar flooded because of the bathroom. You know, it's fucking the worst. Right. And so I was able to get PTO, but still, like, I don't know. I know you would do it, party boy, and you have done it, but not a lot of people would fucking show up at the bar at 4 a.m. to help you clean up a flood. I'll tell you that. So I'm really, when we started the show, I was super excited when she contacted me and said she liked the show, and I was so happy when she agreed to be on the show and also be a part of the weekend pop-in where she's done a phenomenal job. And I've just been so happy to work with her on this and have her be a part of this journey, and so happy that she's here now finally on the main show and we can get a little more background on the Dangerous one. But before we get started, Dangerous Diana Spencer, I would just like to ask, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what do you think of that piece of shit movie?
I saw it. Yeah. I thought it was good. Why do you think
That's
it's a
right.
piece of shit
Yeah,
movie?
it's pretty good, isn't it? You know?
Why do you think it's a piece of shit movie?
It sucks. I couldn't get through 15
he's a Queen
minutes
hater.
of it.
He hated Freddie Mercury. He was always a much bigger fan of who was that guy that sang Under Pressure with him?
David Bowie.
David Bowie. He was a big David Bowie fan. That's Matt's problem.
I like David Bowie, but I'm a huge Queen fan. Love Queen, but I think it was an insult to the legacy of Queen and their greatness to have some fucking Stu-Nod robot gimmick fucking trying to put some teeth in and be Freddie Mercury's Dracula. You know what I'm saying? So just, I don't know.
I thought he played great.
Wow.
I thought he looked like him and everything.
Don't let him bully you. You know a good movie when you see one.
Wow. Well, getting off to a great start, Diana. So shame you didn't mention this before, but no. All right. So we're all in agreement that the movie stinks. Perfect. Let's move on. So Dangerous Diana, thank you for coming on the main show. Finally, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's quiet without Steve.
You know, me and Pete have said that before as well, where it is a lot.
I'm waiting for a hell yeah.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
We're missing our hype man.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. Love Steve to death, but yeah, he's got a lot of energy. Tell you that for sure. But no, I love it. But so yeah, thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm on vacation. So
still
okay.
Yeah,
I took a week. I took a little more than a week. So
nice.
I've been chilling finally.
Any big fun things happen during vacation? Any is it staycation or what?
Yeah, so far. Yeah. So I literally flipped I had a roommate and she moved out. So I literally have flipped this entire house in the past. My vacation started last Thursday. I had 2 rest days. Otherwise, I have done a lot to this house.
Catching up.
Great.
Yeah. It is good. It's stuff that
Are you
bothers
replacing
me.
the roommate, or is it no roommates going forward? You don't.
No, it's a duplex. So I also have the other unit that I have to work on, but I'm going to put someone. It's a weird duplex. I'm in a 6-bedroom house. The house is huge, and then a 1 unit. It's an efficiency on the left side of the house. So I have to finish putting the floors in on that side. I did everything but the floors, and then I'm going to move somebody in there.
But
now
you'll have
roommates.
2. Oh, okay. So you got rid of the roommate, but you're gonna have someone move into the apartment.
Unit. Yep.
So you'll still have like someone else. I see. Damn, that's a great idea.
The duplex is an underrated dwelling. Like having like most of your mortgage covered is a pretty sweet little. You know.
Oh yeah. I have a couple friends. That's like. I feel like that's like almost like I guess it's like the immigrant move. Like I know a bunch of guys that when they came here, they would buy a duplex and, be the handyman and, landlord of it. and then save some money, buy a house. Now they have two apartments to rent. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's called house hacking. So you live in one unit while you rent out the other one. And the other one pays the mortgage. So that one's not going to pay my mortgage, but helps. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I mean, it cuts it in half, hopefully,
Yeah. Well, the other thing is I'm just in this it's like an enormous farmhouse. The house is 115 years old.
I thought you were in like Orland.
I'm in Glenside. I'm right around where my old house was.
Okay.
And I'm on a double lot. So I got weirdly lucky with this property. I think people were looking it over because of how old the house was. The bones actually weren't bad. But covered in asbestos on the outside and shit. Sure. You know what I mean?
A little bit of a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
The handyman special, as Pete would say.
Yeah. Done a lot of work to the inside, but I'm on a double lot too, which can, from my job, I can subdivide it. Exactly. Nice. So I'm debating. I think I'm just going to fence it in, but
nice.
It's on the table,
Nice. That's awesome. That's cool that you're able to be a boss ass bee and knock all that stuff out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's an exhausting life. I don't love it.
If there was no boss ass bee and the ending to get done, where would you go? What's the dream vacation for Diana?
Dream vacation?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Great question.
I want to be in one of those huts.
Oh, in
like huts on the water or huts?
Yeah.
The Maldives.
The Maldives.
Maldives. That's it.
Maldives.
That's exactly
it's a Maldives, yeah.
I don't.
That's exactly it. I want one of them. No neighbors close to me. Just like walking in it. That's exactly where I would want to be.
Yeah,
isolated.
Yeah. Where it's like a dock to the stairs, and you're like on these poles over. Yeah, those things, and the water's like crystal clear. Yeah,
exactly.
There was a story like when COVID first hit off. There was an Australian couple that got stuck there on their honeymoon, and the resort just kept doing all the activities for them, even though they weren't the only one there. And they're like, we're running out of money, and I'm like, yeah, but if you're running out of money, are they just gonna like let you starve or kill you? Like, I don't understand. Like, just call up your government. Like,
there's gotta be something they can do.
That's not a bad. I mean, if you're gonna be stuck somewhere,
there's places to be stuck.
Yeah, I was stuck in Mayfair. It was great. But no, I think that's awesome. No, I would love that. You know what I would love? I loved is that and I think Pete, you did one recently too, where you do a destination wedding, right? And like the best thing about it is when you go on like a vacation, it's just you and your significant other. Like, there's some like downtime and things, but when you're there with like a group, it's
friends.
And it's like it's all time, all day party. Let's go, and like always something going on, always something to hang.
It's hard to have vacation with friends these days. Like you can we've done a couple of Outer Banks trips, but at the end of the day, like it's hard. Like, but the destination wedding's the perfect excuse. Like, all right, they're married, we have to go, and it's like all right, but we have to go to an all-inclusive resort. There's a lot of things I have to do that are much worse than that.
For sure. I'm a big fan. I can't wait. And I think I've said this on the show before, but I can't wait until we can do a live show from an all-inclusive resort in Albania, because it's going to fucking bring the house down. So, okay. So let's get this started. Diana here has an interesting story, and we're really excited to get into it. So she was born at Lankenau Hospital, but she grew up in the Hard Knoxboro, aka Roxboro, right? She did a Catholic school, K through 12. She went to an all-girls high school, right? And then she would end up going to a couple colleges, moving around there a little bit. And then, while she was there, she played some sports. She really did some like baseball, softball.
Man, it looks like she went to almost every school within a 5 zip code radius.
Yep. And we are going to get into that. So let's dive right in. So what Catholic school did you go to? Because me and Pete, Pete's from Oxford Circle initially, then he moved to North Wales, which is right next to the land of the free, home of the brave, Lansdale, Pennsylvania. I grew up in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, land of the free, home of the brave. And I went to Catholic school here, and it was a Polish Catholic church. But when I started living in Roxboro, I was told like that Roxboro was divided up by neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods the church was assigned to like the ethnicity of that neighborhood, right? Or
I didn't go to
the
any
nationality of the. Okay, so where did you go?
I went to IHM over in Andorra.
Okay.
So the
Hmm.
ones you're talking about are literally all across the street from each other. They're all within like a 4-block radius of each other in like the
Yeah.
heart of Manioc.
Yeah.
And none of them exist anymore. IHM is all that's left. The grade
Yeah.
school
Oh,
I went
really?
to. Yep, they're all done.
Yeah. Apparently that's the move though in the city is like the public schools aren't that great. Kind of Catholic schools the way to go. Is that
Yeah,
right?
you don't want to send your. It's weird. Like grade school is one thing. Our only public grade school was Shawmont, and I knew a bunch of kids that went to Shawmont, and that was never an issue. But the high school is another animal.
Yeah.
So you didn't want your kid to go to Roxboro or Saul. If they did, you wanted them to go to Saul. So any neighborhood kids, I didn't know any neighbor. I knew 2 kids that went to Roxboro after they got kicked out of Catholic school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it change them as kids? Because like I know like there was like a fear when I got kicked out of Catholic school, like you're gonna go to the public school and you're gonna be hanging with the wrong crowd and do all the wrong things. And
It's straight up dangerous with high
Yeah.
school. It has nothing to do with like, it's not going to change anyone. I don't think it's just dangerous. That's the biggest thing when
Yeah.
it comes down to high school was that the way Roxboro worked was like you either went downtown and you went to Hallahan, which is the girls' school that I went to, or
Mhm.
Roman, which is the brother school, the boys' school,
Mhm.
or you went to the suburbs to Carroll, Kennedy, Kendrick. I think it was just those 2. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any more out there.
Kenny Kendrick's not
So-
even there anymore too.
Yeah,
But
Kennedy Kendrick's done. So that was like how it went. You either went downtown or you went out to the suburbs. So that
Didn't
was
have any
more-
magnet school people. The guys going to Central or Masterman.
yeah,
or Girls High,
it's so funny you say that because like Roxborough is like a very tight neighborhood. Like we all
Yeah.
know each other, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I always find it funny. Like even the last guy I hooked up with, he went to Central. Like he
Oh, really?
grew up and knew the people. Like we knew all the same people and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But those Central kids just totally like skirt out of the neighborhood for some reason. In high school,
Yeah.
you don't end up meeting many of them.
See,
Yeah.
all my friends in Philly are all Central people. I met them
Oh,
in
really?
college, like later on at Drexel and Penn. Yeah.
They're all smarty pants. They're all
a
smart.
bunch of smarty pantses, huh?
Mhm.
Pete, I do want to tell you this, Pete. So we've mentioned your neighbor on the show, Chuck, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't know Chucky was your neighbor. I love Chucky.
Love
Chuck.
Chuck.
Is
Chuck. I love Chuck. Love him to
So
oh,
death.
he's a
Why?
nice guy. Yeah.
Super
He's a
nice guy. But he went to Roxboro High School, and I would implore you to ask him about the story where he got charged with inciting a riot at Roxboro High School.
Yeah.
All right. Later
So-
tonight, that's my new mission.
Yeah.
Chucky's
Chuck is a
age
fucking awesome dude. Go ahead.
Chucky's age group is probably like the last that I know of locals that went to Roxboro High School.
Yeah.
Like
Ah.
there's one point where it just stopped. And I think from what I understand is that public schools were closing in other neighborhoods. So these kids were being bused to Roxboro and it just started getting rougher and rougher.
Mhm.
So that's from what I understand how it went down. But yeah, I only knew kids that went there after they got expelled.
From my understanding, the reason is that I don't know if it was always like this, but they have the rule is that if you live in the city of Philadelphia, you can go to any public school in the city of Philadelphia, no matter where you live. Right. So like if you lived in West, you could go to Roxboro. You just have to get there. Right. Like you'll have
I
to
don't
take
know.
the
There
bus.
was it wasn't like anything, but there were like certain particular rules around busing. Yeah. That came in place like maybe like in the 80s or the 70s.
But you could choose to go whichever public school you wanted, right? Like if you lived here, you could go wherever.
I don't think so. I think it is by zip code. So it's the same way as the parishes.
It's not
like,
by zip code, but it's like I don't know the exact details, but you're both kind of right. Like it wasn't a free for all, but there was
Like they had like
choices.
they had a radius they could go to. I
yeah,
guess.
you had choices,
Yeah.
but you still had to be within
Like
whatever.
Like if you lived in Strawberry Mansion, you could hypothetically go to Roxboro. Like it's close enough.
yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could do
So
that.
I think
well, the
that's
other thing too
kind
is like then there's also just like there are certain schools that are just set up to do certain things, right? So like we talked about Masterman, Central, and Girls High; those are magnet schools. So
Mhm.
anyone in the city can go there. if
Girls
they test
High is a
in.
magnet school now.
It's always been a magnet school. It
My
was Central
mom
for
went
girls
there.
before Central. Yeah, but it like so Central was
Beach
like,
Oh,
Mom
a boys'
went
school. That's right. And
yeah,
then Girls
exactly.
High was
So
the
like,
girls.
when my parents were kids, Central and boys, like, Central and Girls High were separate. And then after that, girls could go to Central. Girls High still exists, and it is still a magnet school. You do have to test in. But I think it lost a little bit of the luster when a lot of the smarter girls started going to Central and Masterman. But then there's also schools that are tech schools, and there are schools
Yeah,
that are
I knew
music
kids.
schools.
And
Yup,
Saul, the
Catholic.
agricultural school.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to go for a certain subject and only certain schools teach that subject, then you can go to that school. Because not every school in the city teaches every subject.
True. What didn't your sister? Did she go to Central or did she go to girls' high school? Pete, your sister?
Oh no, my
Her
sister's
mom, right?
No, his mom went to Fells, right?
My mom
Oh.
went to Frankfurt.
Oh,
My older
Frankfurt.
sister went to Nazareth Academy,
Oh,
which is like
okay.
that's more of like
Your
a
dad
She's,
went to
bougie. She's
Central, though.
bougie.
yeah.
Nazareth girl.
Uh,
I remember them.
yeah, don't we all?
They had a great
But-
softball team.
Oh, look at that. So let's get into that then, D. So when you were in school, you did some spots. All right. You were a sports player. So baseball, was that your big gimmick or what?
Yeah, I was always a baseball kid. So I started playing baseball probably when I was like 5 or 6. Started with T-ball.
So, but
And
like they
then-
let
Not
girls
even softball.
play?
You went straight hardball.
Yeah.
Well, I was baseball and then I wasn't allowed to play baseball. There was that age limit, you know what I mean, where you
Yeah.
switch over into
Yeah.
softball. And then grade school, I was really into softball and I was like learning, you know what I mean? So the thing with Roxboro is the 21st ward. So I had like my school team, but 21st ward is no fucking
Massive.
joke.
Yeah.
The Port
Yeah.
Royal teams are serious and there's a travel team involved with them and shit. So it's like whatever I wanted out of that, I could have gotten out of Port Royal, excuse me. And then when I went to high school, that was another game. My boyfriend in high school, both of my boyfriends in high school were baseball players. And his mom was my coach. So like they were a huge baseball family. And it was just like a constant thing. I myself was on 5 teams when I was in high school. Yeah. So I was on
5
Port Royal
baseball
Jesus.
teams?
softball teams.
Okay.
So I was on Wissahickon Braves, Port Royal, Fairmount. I was on 4 teams, Fairmount and then Hallahan.
Wait, how
What
many?
was your position, or what was your favorite position?
I played
If you
second
get-
base.
Second base, little Mickey
Ah.
Morandini action.
Yeah,
You
here.
could go chase Utley, Matt. You don't have to give her the Morandini.
Mickey fucking Morandini. I mean,
Yeah, I
dude,
was shortstop up
93?
until high school, and then we switched it up.
Oh, look at you. Nice. That's awesome. Dude, I'll tell you this. And when we had Vinny Traveline, aka Vinny Ravioli, on the show, we talked a lot about the 21st Ward because this is something I didn't know until we moved here. But baseball is a big deal in Roxboro.
Oh yeah,
It's
my
a big
boyfriends.
deal.
It was like so. My boyfriend at the time, my one boyfriend whose mom was my coach, they were from Fairmount, and they
Okay.
made sure to be on a Port Royal team because that's where you got scouted. You got scouted at Port Royal more than you would at Roman necessarily. So those teams, it's serious, yeah. And that life is no joke. That baseball life, man. Those people. I dated a guy actually later in life, a couple of years ago, who was he made it to the major leagues. So like I'm
shit.
thinking, oh my God, like you did all of that and then actually made it to the majors. You know what I mean?
And his name
he
was
was-
Jimmy Rollins.
He was a pitcher. He was a pitcher and shattered his elbow week 1.
Oh,
Shattered it. I
How?
was like, dude, you go throwing a ball. He shattered it. Yeah.
holy shit.
90 mile per hour ball, shattered his elbow. And I was like,
Oh.
Jesus Christ. Like he ended up being nuts. And now it makes a lot of sense. Like you go your whole life, like dedicating to this shit.
Yeah.
They have these baseball academies that they
Oh,
go
yeah.
to.
Yeah. Baseball's no
can't-
joke. Yeah.
It is no joke. So like to go through all of that and then get there and then shatter your elbow week 1, like, and you can never play again. Like that's that, you know?
Baseball is like a lot of like there's like feeder programs, a lot of feeder programs that go into things, but I feel like the feeder programs for baseball, if you're legit, you're starting early on like feeder programs into high level travel teams that are nationally ranked.
The difference between like baseball and softball and other sports is like like normally for other sports like the PIAA, the apex, you win states, that's where you get scouted. But baseball and softball, it's like high school doesn't
You can
even
get
matter.
scouted
It's all about
anywhere.
the travel leagues. Yeah,
It
exactly.
is the travel teams. Yeah. Like the girls team is in the Northeast, actually, Philly Flash. So I never could get a ride out there. That was my thing. Or could I afford it? So that wasn't a team that I ever played on. But those travel teams are like legit. And it was the same with, I did cheerleading too. And it was the same with that. The all-star teams were what was important. Like I could cheer for my school. I could compete for my school and that team. But the all-star teams that's where it's important.
Yeah, especially in Philly, for because Diane, you're a little bit younger, so I don't know if you were in the PIAA at the time, but when me and Matt were in high school, we graduated in 2003. Philadelphia wasn't even in the PIAA.
Nope.
So like it made the travel teams and stuff even more important because it's like even if you're playing in high school, you're only getting scouted at the Philly championship,
Yeah.
compared to going against the entire state.
Dude, we'd be driving all the way out to Quakertown, driving all the way out to the north.
Yeah.
We were driving everywhere constantly. Cooperstown every year. You know what I mean? It's just like this huge, and it's almost all year round. So, when you start fall ball, it's a never ending thing, but I love it. I love it so much.
Is there that fear in softball, like baseball, that you can't pitch a girl every day? They'll throw their arm out, or is the underhand throwing save you a little bit?
You can pitch back to back, right? Like,
okay,
would it not like right? Am I right, Diana?
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not so bad. I pitched a little bit for the Braves and a little bit for Fairmount, and I do not like pitching. It's the same reason I don't like third base. Like it's just way too close to the batter. So I was never a fan. Oh, I've seen so many girls get their teeth knocked out. Like it's something that I was.
How far is it from the pitcher's mound in softball to home plate?
I have no idea.
Because I'm thinking
footage-wise,
men's it's 60, right?
We're shorter than men's, yeah.
So could you imagine like a grown
dude, these are butch ass chicks. It's
not
nothing. And we were conditioning to play. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I always said it was perfect pitch, perfect hit, right? Then when they just nail it right back to the pitcher, there's nothing that'll make your life flash before your eyes real quick. You know what I mean?
I no longer joke about female athletes because when I was in college one time, I'm on the wrestling team and I'm doing pull-ups and I'm struggling on my last set of pull-ups. And the power forward for the girls basketball team walks up behind me, puts her hand on the small of my back, and pushes me up and goes, "You got this, big dog." And the softball team had some girls that were just as strong as her, so I realized, like, okay.
Yeah. There was girls who could drop bombs. There were girls. I had a cannon at one point. You know what I mean? But you are conditioning for that almost all year round. So it is fucking scary to be that close to it. It's too close. You know what I mean? So I wasn't a fan.
What year did you graduate high school, Diana?
2008.
Oh, okay. So when we were in high school, there was a girl that went to our school. Right. She was 1,000-point scorer in basketball. Right. And she was like in softball, she broke all like the Southeast region records for strikeouts and stuff. She was like 6'1" or 6'2" as a girl, right? But like she would pitch and fucking throw in smoke. Because I guess the way the stance is, it's a lot of like when you take that first step, it's the foot separation, right? And like if you have a long one, you can really get into the throw.
Yeah, it's a lot of momentum, and there's a lot involved in throwing a good pitch. And there's so many different, like someone throwing a change up that fucked me up almost every time. I was pretty good hitter, but yeah. And it's not just because it's bigger than a baseball doesn't mean it's easier. You know, I actually always preferred hitting a baseball over a softball. I always had an easier time.
You cut off 15 feet, so it's less speed has to travel coming right out of their hand, less reaction time.
Yeah. If there is anything to this day that I still have, it's great reflexes. Like that's the one thing I got good at and that stuck with me. And you know what did it was, you remember, so like my parents weren't sports people. Yeah. I didn't have anybody really to like teach me how to play these things unless I went but I lived up the street from 21st Ward. So I was there all the time. I was just constantly over there, but a pitchback, I wanted it for Christmas. That was like, it's like $40. You ever see one of them? It's just this net and you kind of stake it into the ground. And I would fire balls at myself. and I ended up with these really good reflexes. That was probably like the best thing I could have done for myself.
No, that's great. Yeah, it seemed like it worked. I would love to see a stat. What do you think has more lesbians, softball or soccer?
I don't know.
I think it's softball. I mean, like besides like Jenny Finch and Kat Osterman, I'm trying to think. I
don't think there was any lesbians on my team.
I mean,
I knew one.
You went to an all-girls school, weren't you?
And I also played on 4 teams. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know
one girl.
It was an all-girls Catholic school, though, man. Like it was.
Oh, what? You think there wasn't any lesbians in my all-girls?
I just think they may have.
I think they all.
Let's talk about my all-girls Catholic school for a minute.
I'm just saying they might not have been as open with it as if they weren't Catholic school.
Dude. It was on 9. So the same
you
way
told-
we
Or
told
is it more open? Am I wrong?
You told
the
this-
opposite.
She did tell the story about the Valentine for
yeah,
Diana
yeah,
Spencer.
she was a lesbian.
That's true, yeah,
yeah.
So that,
But
and
hidden.
Or was she on the
do you know
softball
how
team
many
or the soccer
girls?
team?
No, she didn't play sports. Do you know how many girls were pregnant though? You got to think like the other thing to remember is just because it was a Catholic school, like there's still government assistance for some of these kids, right? CCIS.
Oh yeah,
Stuff
yeah,
like
I
that.
get it. I'm just saying it's
So
more
my
like
high
the openness
school's-
of it.
19th and Vine, and I have someone from every inch of the city. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even people from coming all the way from fucking Somerton, like, and that's a hike to Hallahan. Yeah, so it's like I met so many different people, but I learned how to fight. I learned how to like what to avoid. There was a girl who came in with a gun once. My first week of school, I saw a girl get her hair ripped out of her head, and it was like it was like, I don't want to fucking go here. It was immediate, like, I want to go to Carroll. I don't want to be in Hallahan. And then what else? Like I learned.
Did you end up
it was bad as
changing?
shit.
Did you end up like obviously you stuck with it, and like, are you happy that you stuck with it and stayed?
Oh yeah, the street smarts alone that I learned, and I can't speak for everybody's experience, right? Because it's like how we were talking the other day, how there's like different cliques and stuff like that. There was the same at Hallahan, but I was kind of friends with everybody, and I was I was a lot of trouble. One, and then two, like I was just roaming around the neighborhood. Like I wanted to hang out with people all the time. So I hung out with whoever wanted to hang out. So I'd be in Port Richmond, or I'd be in, North Philly, or I'd be in
The
Roxboro.
old Port Richmond.
Yeah, I'd just be all over the place. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things. But yeah, no, I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Nice. Yeah.
Because we would meet our friends from Roxboro who went to Carroll and Kendrick, and it was like we had still things in common, but it was like very clear we were having different lives. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing.
Yeah. Some better, some worse, right? But
Well, yeah, you hang out with them on the weekends, and it's like, oh shit, like we're having two totally different experiences. It was very clear, you know what I mean? And I would go to their dances, their high school dances, and I'm like, look at this fucking place. This is crazy,
Yeah. You were blown away by some shitty schools. Like you thought LC was big. That place is a freaking nothing. But okay.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, it's not. It's absolutely. It's not like they're. I don't even want to get into it. It's the whole thing. But so either way, so you're at Hallahan, right? An all girls Catholic high school in Philadelphia, right? You're there. So this is also kind of when you started working. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've kind of been on my own since I was 16 or 17. I think 16. So I was bad. Like I said, I was trouble. I was constantly in trouble. Like the disciplinarian had my phone number. Like it was a constant thing. So there was
stood for demerit.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
The dangerous demerit.
I got
demerit
suspended so many times. I almost got expelled.
Well,
my junior year.
I mean, okay, I won't say it. I mean, I got expelled twice. What are you gonna
Did you?
Yeah.
I got suspended a lot. I never got. I got close to getting. I stole it.
Did you guys have ISS in school suspension? That was the worst.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, they are the worst. They at least sent me home.
Yeah.
How about Saturday
Breakfast Club, baby?
detentions?
It's iconic.
Dude, I had disciplinary summer school. That one was pretty rough.
That's a
Clean.
Oh, so not even for grades, just because you misbehaved?
Yep. Disciplinary summer school.
Like sit here and behave?
Yeah, I basically cleaned. I cleaned the whole high school every day.
They'll do that
silence.
to you.
You had to go in your uniform.
Hey, I mean, you know what? It's better than being expelled, though.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know what would have happened if I got expelled, but so I've just been on my own for a while. And my parents, yeah, dude, I should have been dead. I should have been murdered. And like some of the shit I was doing, dude, I'm running through these neighborhoods. Like I'll never raise my kids in the city because of this, because of what I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking into a bar in Southwest Philly when I was 17. I like, it was just some of the situations. It was just like, I think back on it like, oh my God, how did I get out of there alive?
Yeah. Did you think like, I mean, you being a girl might have helped at some, I mean, walking to a bar in Southwest Philly. I mean, if it was me,
Well, it may
there'd
have
been,
helped
like,
her get into the bar.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
in the bar.
Yeah.
It might have been more trouble than it was worth once you're in
Of
the
all,
bar.
that is the only neighborhood I am scared of in Philadelphia because of that experience. I've never
Southwest? Really?
Southwest. Yep, straight up, for sure.
Why? What happened? Are you? I mean,
It was just terrifying. Yeah, all of it. That was one of the. There wasn't many of those moments, but that's one of the moments where like your intuition kicks in as a kid. Like, all right, maybe I should leave.
Yeah,
You know what I
fucked
mean?
up.
Like, I
I've
should
had
probably.
those a
Yeah,
couple
I gotta
times,
go.
like where you're too drunk and you just wander in a place and you're like, oh, it's a bar. What's the worst that could happen? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe
no,
I
I'm
should
stone
leave.
cold sober,
Yeah.
just with people that were older than me, and I just shouldn't have been there. It was
You're
just like a very
"Ooh."
clear, like something bad's gonna happen if I don't get out of here.
Yeah.
And like, there was no Uber or anything like that. It wasn't that easy to leave. So yeah,
Yikes.
that was a scary night. But yeah, I was running around all over the place. But my parents didn't pay for anything. My parents paid for tuition, and that was
Okay.
it. So if I got kicked out of there, I was done. You know what I mean? But as
Right,
far
right.
as like my class ring, my prom, anything I wanted to do, I had to pay. Softball, I had to pay for them. Like all those things I had to pay for. So I started working, and I should throw it all the way back. I've always been a worker. I've always been hustling. I've always been working. So I lived when I was a kid.
That's what you learned from those girls at Hallahan's. You got to hustle.
Yeah, I learned it from my dad. My dad's one of the
Ah.
hardest working dudes I know. And he's always threw that into me. Like, you have to work. Like, I had to work to get ice cream man money. I had to like weed outside or something. You know what I mean?
I like that.
So that was always our thing. But I'll never forget it. We lived right outside an apartment complex. Like, their driveway was at the end of our house.
Yeah.
And I had said one day that I wanted to do a lemonade stand, and that was it. The minute like my dad explained overhead to me, like I remember him talking to me about it, like how it works and how I'm making money.
Like, I'm going to charge a dime for a cup. And he's like, well, if you look at your overhead expenditures,
best thing you could do is be a little girl outside of a fucking apartment complex with lemonade. No one can drive past. And as soon as I got that, I was like, we're doing this every weekend. Fuck weeding. I'm selling lemonade.
Did it work?
Oh my God, I made so much money doing that. Yeah.
Really?
So then,
how much did you charge?
I was little, a quarter, 50 cents. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking.
But still, it's like, it's $3 for like a whole thing of country time.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
you know what?
Back in 1998, it's not even like it's now. I don't even know what they cost.
Probably $1.99 in 98.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's just a quarter, and it's not like, everyone had cash on them back then, so it wasn't like.
And they were probably like, here's $1, keep the change.
Just keep it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a good story. I'll find it and send it to you guys. But like, there was a kid that was doing a lemonade stand, and someone called the cops on him because he didn't have a permit, because they're just
I remember
busybody neighbors.
Fucked up.
And so the cops showed up with the permit, had the little kid fill out the permit, and then the cop paid the fee for him. That way he could keep doing his lemonade stand.
Oh, that's so great. Good. Fuck those people.
Yeah.
Those kind of people are fucking. I hope they get weeded out. Those people are pieces of shit.
Yeah, no. But I just thought it was funny. It's like, all right, yeah, technically you might be breaking the law, but we'll just bring him his permit and we'll pay the $20 fee, and there you go, kid.
Yeah, and the stupid asshole that tried to call in to be fucking Johnny.
I think they brought license and inspection with them. Just
That's great to just shove it up their ass. That's awesome. Good for that cop. That was a great move. Shout out to him. He's a fan of the show, listener to the show. Okay, so besides selling lemonade and squeezing pennies out of people, what would you say was your first job ever? Like job?
My first on paper job, my first FICA job would be Cold Stone Creamery.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
Let's talk. So, former guest of the show, friend of the show, Jill Byers. She worked at a place called Maggie Moo's, and apparently Maggie Moo's and Cold Stone are like the Bloods and the Crips. So she did not have really nice words for Cold Stone Cold Creamery. So how did you like working there? What did you think? What did you learn? First job, what did you think?
First job, well, like Maggie Moo's, I think I know where you're talking about. It's all the way out in like Quakertown, right? or out in Percy or somewhere around there.
There might be one there, but the one I'm talking about is in the land of the free, home of the brave, Lansdale, PA.
Okay, well, it was nowhere near where I was working, so I don't know about that rivalry.
Nice.
But what I learned, like, I think that was the first job. It was my first job, but that was the first time I got a taste of tips.
Ooh.
And then, yep. And
so is it true? Do you have? I mean, at Maggie Moo's, I think if they got a tip, they had to like sing a song or something.
We had to too. Yeah, that didn't last. That didn't last long in Roxboro.
Oh shit! What would you have to like? You would have to be like, thank you for your tip. You're a such nice person.
Yeah, they had like pre-made scripted shit for us.
Oh boy, that would piss me
But it's
off.
like me and all my friends, like it's all the neighborhood kids. You know what I mean? We were all like,
The hardest laugh I ever got was at the Cold Stone in Port Richmond. We were imbibing, and it was one of the Game of Thrones season premieres was coming on. We're like, let's go get some ice cream beforehand. So we go to the Cold Stone Creamery, and we get up to the stand, and the girl working the stand goes to me and my wife. She goes, "Are you together?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, but not sexually. And she thought that.
Well, my dad, when he found out we sang for tips, so I hid that for a while.
Yeah.
And then when he found that out, he walks in with a fucking bag of pennies. And I was like, "We're not doing this, Dad. We're not doing this."
What a fucking move. So his idea was to just be like, okay, one song, please. Right? And just like, oh my God.
He walked in just holding the bag. I was like, oh my fucking God.
That
my
is
family tortures. My family is a very torturous group of people. It's like how we survive. If your significant other can't be a part of that, like you're not gonna make it.
It's a prerequisite for the relationship.
Yeah.
Yep. My cousins, everything. They're fucking ruthless.
Your dad, that was a hilarious move by your dad, though. I'm a big fan of that. That was funny. Nice. So good for him. Hey, awesome. So how did you like working there?
I remember I quit over the phone. Like I just didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. Like I quit. It was the first and probably only time I quit without backup.
Nice.
But I remember I don't think I worked there for too long.
I did that at Pete's house one time. I was working at Wawa, and we had like we were in high school still, and we had like a long night, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I was supposed to be working the day shift at Wawa the next day, and I had been working there for a couple months, and things were whatever. But I eventually was like, I knew I was like, I'm gonna quit this, and I knew I was gonna end up working somewhere else, and I kind of had it lined up, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not working there today. And they called, they're like, hey man, you were supposed to be here. And I'm standing in Pete's, and they called because they called my house. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. They called my house. My dad was like, hey, he's at his friend's house. Call his friend's house. They called Pete's house. Pete's mom answers the phone, and it's like, Matt, you got a phone call? And I'm like, all right. I go and answer it, and it's like, he's like, hey man, this is blah, blah, blah from Wawa. You're a little late for your shift, buddy. Everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to quit. And he's like, oh, well, don't ever come back. And then hung up on me.
Oh my God.
And then me and Pete went and had a rager, and that's what we do.
I was at a pool party. And I called in, and the chick she thought she was putting me on hold, and I was just calling the call out. She thought she was putting me on hold, but she kept hanging up on me. Oh. So I called 3 times, and the third time I just I just let it go. And then I got a phone call. I was like, well, I was calling to just, say I'm not coming in today, but I'm not coming in at all anymore since you can't even fucking keep me on the phone. Like I took it personally and used it as an excuse. You know what I mean?
One of those moments that
you're using a sick day.
They gave it to me. She gave me the reason. So that was that.
So you're using a sick day today? I'm using a sick life.
I'm not coming back. I'm not working under these kind of circumstances.
Yeah. We're done here, bub. All right. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So you
left.
Go ahead.
After there, so I've had a million jobs.
You did have a few. You're up there.
Yeah. Once I started getting a taste of money, that was a game changer. So after there, I went to CVS, and I worked at CVS I was a photo lab technician. So I was at CVS for a couple years.
So were you like the passport photo person and like?
Well, back then I was developing
there's actually real
wow.
cameras.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah, it wasn't like a digital thing. You were like developing actual pictures that people held in their hands.
Yeah. I was
So
developing
Diana, did you
rolls
ever
of film.
did you ever stumble across any photos that were
Oh,
too
I
personal for you to be stumbling?
have. I sure have. So they told us like the only thing we have to report is kids if we see
Right. Yeah.
inappropriate kid shit.
Hopefully.
But because you have to go in, so sometimes I remember like your
Do you
exposure
see
would
every
be weird.
picture?
Yeah, because your exposure would be weird. If your exposure would go off, the computer would stop and say, "Look at this and adjust it." So we would adjust we would kind of like like not Photoshop, but adjust your picture so that when it printed clearly. So we did see just about every single picture that came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wonder about that, like, because now it's like, oh, what, like everyone's always, it's like, yeah, well, back in the day, if you had to take a picture, someone had to develop that picture.
Yeah.
So there was some
and
risk involved before you took any
entertaining.
photo.
That was the most entertaining part of that job. That was not a fun job.
Like,
I'm not gonna lie, I've had a couple of disposable cameras in my life where I just tossed in the trash. I'm like, this is better off not being used.
Yeah. That'd be kind of great. Like you're looking at like, okay, this is Sarah's bat mitzvah. This is Larry's birthday. And oh, Mr. Jennings. Wow.
Yeah. It's like a couple on vacation, their disposable camera, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's great though. I mean, that's what it was back in the day. I mean,
so that was the first job I got fired from, and that's a great story.
Oh wow.
So,
what happened?
Oh
here?
wow.
One of my friends came in, and Matt, you know him, and I'm gonna ask you to edit his name out, but came in and we were like
I want to get him on the show. I fucking love
need
Sean.
to. You need to.
Love that.
We were like,
love that kid.
We were like 16 or 17, and he came in a fucking sweat, and he's in front of me. He's like, and he's got a box of condoms, and he's like, I don't have enough money for these, but I need it. Like it was very clear he was losing his virginity tonight. You know what I mean? And in a rush. So I was like,
he's like, I gotta use it before I lose
future
it.
because this is happening either way.
So I'm like, just leave whatever like I'm looking at him dead in the eye and trying not to like move my mouth. I was like, just leave whatever money you have on the counter and go. And he's like, all right. So I rearranged the price of it, and then whatever he had, I put in the register, right? And I ended up getting caught and got fired.
Oh,
what's the statute of limitations on like diming myself out for shit? Because I did more shit.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Don't most of the stuff. And number one, like if you explain to anyone now, they'd be pissed off at CVS. You're like, yo, you try to stop an unwanted pregnancy, motherfucker. Like that, however much money he like was saving was worth it.
Well, I'm talking about me. So if I did more shady shit while I was there, would I get in trouble for it now?
Nope. Statute of limitations
unless
is
you
passed.
murdered someone.
Yeah.
So I hustled when I worked at that place. So Crest White strips had just come out, and I used to yank them and take them to school and sell them. I stole cigarettes at school and sold them at school. I was making money off of CVS.
Make that money.
So when they called me they're like, you rearranged the price on the condom. I was like, yeah, I guess I did. That's it, bro.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm gonna get pinged for this. At least you're not missing the carton of fucking Newports I took.
I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave now. You know what I mean? Like no questions asked. I'm out. Don't look into it any further.
I did that when I was at Wawa. I would like I'd just be like, I think Pete, you probably got it, and I know Bach got it. Where like I'd be like, just come in and then go up, pretend you're hitting something on the screen, tell me what you want, and I'll just make it to you and give it to you, and you walk out.
Yeah, I used to just take them to school. But I mean, I was paying for a lot of shit. Softball wasn't cheap. Like none of this shit was cheap. And then here I am making $6.50 an hour taxed. You know what I mean? Like
it was nothing.
Yeah.
But I was there almost full time. Like I was constant. I would show up to games in my uniform and shit. Like I had to switch out. Like I was constantly. They, for the most part, worked with my sports schedule. That's why I kind of hung there.
Nice.
So then after I got fired there, I went to this place called Crossroads Coffee House. It was on Ridge Avenue. Do you remember where Sneaker Town was? Do you remember?
I freaking loved Sneaker Town.
So
Pete. That was in between Rivka and Crams, right? Yeah. So we lived on Rivka Street, me and Pete and some jerk that I played in Mario Kart. And
so there was a corner store that was like, there was a jewelry store, and then like
the Dollar Save was there.
No. So on the corner of Crams is like it was either a jewelry store. No, it was a little like market, like they
Yeah,
had fruits and
it was the
vegetables.
Dollar Mart. Yeah.
No, not the Dollar General.
Oh.
That's down the street. But anyway, there was like I was like
Yeah, a
three-
little
three
market.
and-
So, right where like Santucci's is now.
yeah,
other-
right. I'm on the other side of the street, Crams.
Yeah.
On the
So-
other side.
I
Got
know
It
where
was in
Crossroads
this-
is. Bell worked
Yeah.
there.
Who?
John Bell worked there.
Oh, I don't think we worked there at the same time.
Probably not.
So I worked at Crossroads for years. So I really liked that job.
What did you
And
do
that was-
there? Were you a
I was
barista?
I was a barista. Yeah.
Oh,
You did
wow.
everything there. So I was the cook, I was the barista, and I liked it because like that was the first time I've ever seen an open mic night before. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
again, I
right,
was
right,
making
right, yeah.
tips.
Wait,
and they were-
you liked the open mic night?
Oh my god, it was hilarious. Of course, I like the open mic.
Like
night.
hilarious,
Are you
like
kidding
a
me?
train wreck's hilarious.
Laughing with them or
Yes!
laughing at them?
Okay.
It was so fucking entertaining.
You saw this guy up there, like, guys, I'm just here and I'm gonna jam. Let's go.
Yeah, on my acoustic. Here we go. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's CDs, trying to sell their CDs with it. So I loved that job. They
I
were
guess the late
really,
2000s were the end of that Generation
Yeah,
X
yeah.
like whole kind of culture thing. We're going to the coffee house.
Yeah.
The reciter.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
for the most part kind of, it wasn't busy during the day, but it was actually weirdly busy at night. And so I really liked that job. That was another one. The owner of that place, I actually don't think he's alive anymore. He got sick, but he was really cool. And he really worked with my softball schedule. So everything revolved around being able to let me play sports.
Right there.
However, I was always a worker. Like there was times where I skipped shit to go work because I wanted money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And at that time, I think I was living with one of my friends and like I was trying to give her parents money. You know what I mean? Like I would come home
Right.
with, they never took it from me, but like I would always come home with cake and shit like that. Like whatever I could, that was going to get tossed at the coffee house
Yeah.
and stuff. So I really
So-
liked working there. And one of the most interesting days I was sitting at, so during the day, it wasn't busy. And I
Yeah.
would just sit outside on the little bistro set that was out there and just bring the phone out with me in case it rang and just sit there. I would just sit there listening to music or doing homework or whatever. I wasn't doing homework, but
Was this
I'm
high school or
sitting-
college?
high school.
High school.
So the one day I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I look up and that's where I learned Ridge Avenue is the best place to fucking people watch.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like it is now. You know what I mean?
Nah.
It was just, but I've never people watched Ridge Rats before. So that was like a whole nother, I don't know.
I mean,
if
Pac
you-
Miller's
you
been
guys-
there forever, and that's always
Rich
been a,
Rats? Is that
yeah,
a term?
I was just gonna say. So when we were kids, we weren't allowed to walk on Ridge Avenue. That was like a thing
Oh,
for our
really?
parents. Yeah, you're not allowed on like that section of Ridge.
That's
is
where
called
the
Ridge
adults
Rat.
go when they're drunk and they want to
You're
get
just-
Wawa or 7-Eleven or
Don't be caught dead walking up and down Ridge Avenue. It's just you're not allowed to do it. Yeah, yeah.
Is that-
don't be a
is
Ridge
that-
Rat.
It was that. Oh, okay. So it was that there was like people there that were, not
I
good.
could say it's like Frankfurt Avenue in the Northeast. It's just like, hey, this is
Stay
where
off of
adults
it.
are. They might be drunk. They might be a
Yeah.
little high. You never
It
know
was
what's
just
going
stay away
on.
from it.
Yeah.
Stay off
It's
of
not.
it.
There's no
Stay away
playgrounds
from
on it.
I see.
So, but people watching was great. So the one day I'm sitting there and like I started making friends. You know what I mean? Like,
You're like,
same-
hey, cigarette Bob.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chick from Nina's is outside smoking. I'm like, hey, Crystal, you know what I mean? Like talking to everybody. So the one day I'm sitting outside and up, it's not Leverington, DuPont maybe?
Yeah.
There's a bank there. I
Yeah.
can't remember what street it is.
It's DuPont.
It's
You're
DuPont
right.
and Green.
Yeah,
you're
so
right.
I'm sitting and watching and I just see like 11 cops coming up this street. And I'm like, what the, in like full SWAT. I'm like, what
On
the
their
fuck is
on
that?
wait, on foot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like sneaking on the side of the building. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I look to my left and there's same things happening coming up Ridge Avenue. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm like, I have the best seat in the house. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They bum rushed the fucking vacuum store. Turns out there's just been a whole drug thing going. They were bringing out trash bags
The
full of
vacuum
drugs
store.
out of the
What?
vacuum store. The vacuum store was a front. Yeah.
And so what? They just had like a ton of what? Just all kinds of drugs, I
Yeah,
guess.
coke and shit. Like they were just literally black contractors bags. The cops were just walking out with black contractors bags full of drugs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was wild. That was like, but kicking in the door and shit, screaming, guns pointing. Like that was the first time I ever seen anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that must.
I was
have
like,
been
what?
incredible.
This is crazy.
Damn, so that must have been fucking nuts.
Yeah, that was intense for like 16. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Imagine if you had a camera phone then. Oh my
Right?
God. Jesus
Nah, it was
Christ.
flip phone era. Nextels.
You had your razor. You had your
Chirping
razor.
people. I did have a razor, my pink razor.
Ladies love the razor. Nice.
Wait, what do you mean now a word from our sponsor?
Are you someone who struggles picking a podcast to listen to because your time is extremely valuable?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Are you someone who says, damn, there's not enough hours in the day to pick just one?
Wait, what the fuck?
Or are you someone who's interested in a podcast where they interview a wide range of people and find out how the hell they ended up in their profession?
It's like you read my mind.
If I say yes too, can you help
Oh
me out?
shit! Shit!
On an unrelated note, while we call the police, if you said yes to all those questions, then look no further and allow me to introduce you to the Working Perspectives podcast, hosted by executive producer Matt Lavelle and accompanied by co-host
Frank,
Party
listen,
Boy
dude,
Pete
it's off, it's
McCormick.
off.
As mentioned, they interview a wide range
don't
of
know,
people
man,
and
the cops
find
are
out
coming.
how in the purple nurple fuck they ended up in their
No, I didn't
professions, which I
fucking
think, in
want
my
a red
opinion,
light.
as someone who previously job
I
hopped
don't
from
know,
one
man.
place to
I
another
was
until I
just
found
about to
something I'm
drive over
good
to
at,
destination,
this is
and then
something
all of
worth
a sudden
investing
this
your
random
time
voice
in.
comes up in my
You will
car
learn
and
about
starts
jobs that
talking
you
about
never knew
this
existed.
informative
Feel the
podcast.
grind that
I
some of these
said it
people
sounded
felt before
interesting,
getting
and
to where they are
fucking dipshit
today.
says the same
And just
thing.
like me, it'll maybe
And now
help you
they're
find that
calling the cops.
motivation you're looking for to pursue and what it is you want to do.
No.
And also,
No, no one
they have
was
great
following
segments
me.
in the
I'm
middle
in
of the
the
show,
middle of
such as
fucking
The Weekend
desert,
Poppin'. Give it a shot.
We gotta
And
go
my
to
two
Plan B, man.
favorites,
We gotta
Memory
go to Plan
Lane
B.
and What's Going Down in Gamertown, which
Wait,
is a segment
you're
I'm
what?
part of, so you should definitely
You're
look
out?
into it.
No,
So,
you can't
that
fucking
being
do this
said,
to me.
after
Why-
this
why are you
video, go
fucking
out and
bailing
listen
out?
to the Working Perspectives podcast. You can find them
Because
on
I
Apple
fucked up?
Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google
what are you gonna do,
Podcasts,
man?
TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
bootleg
All links
business,
are in the link
bootleg
tree, which is
movies?
in the
Bro,
description.
There's a fucking
And now,
pandemic happening
back
right
to the
now. Once the
episode.
movie's in theaters, it's gonna go onto the streaming services.
So okay, so you're at Crossroads for a while, right? You
Yeah,
do your
I
thing
was there. I graduated
Why did you leave there?
So I graduated high school
Okay.
and went to Bloomsburg. I actually did not want
Ah.
to go to Bloomsburg. My mom applied for me and didn't tell me. And that's where I ended up getting dropped off. I cried. I'm like, it's always fucking
Why Bloomsburg?
cows.
Why'd
Like,
you want to
where
go
are you
there?
taking me? Huh?
Why did you want to go to Bloomsburg?
This is like $4,000 a year.
No.
State school.
Yeah. Why?
And
but,
2 hours away from her. I don't know.
Why? Oh, okay. And you didn't like it just because it was out
No,
in the middle of
so-
nowhere?
We're driving up there and I remember crying the whole way there. Like, where the fuck are you taking me? Like, you're just
Wait,
dropping
when did
me
you
off
find out you were going? Like,
in the boonies when I didn't get in anywhere else. When I was all the times I was suspended and almost expelled, my guidance counselor, whenever they asked that on an application, I had asked her, like, what do I do? Like, are they going to follow up on this? Do I tell them what happened or not? She's like, oh no, they're going to call and check it. So just write down and they never fucking called. Like, I wrote that on all of my applications and they never, you know what I mean? This bitch just fucked me. My grades were fine because I cheated all the time. So it had nothing to do with my grades. It was that.
hopefully you didn't put that on the application as well.
Yeah,
my grades
no,
are
I did
fine, but I
not.
do cheat.
Look, I
I
cheat. I'm
I
delinquent.
put way more effort into cheating than I do studying. Just know that.
You know what the move was?
Ronnie didn't get his girlfriend pregnant because of me. So
Right?
I figured out the move of the size 3 font, I think it was,
Mhm.
is that you would print out something in size 3 font and you could fold it and keep it in between your finger and then take it out during test.
Please. I had it stapled to the hem of my skirt. So you flip your skirt up.
That is the best.
I had so many. It's not even. I used to steal. So that's why I almost got expelled. I used to steal. I was a little thief. I used to steal the what's it called? The answer keys before the tests. I knew where my teachers kept them. So I learned that one pretty quickly.
breaking the
And
desks.
yeah, that's where I got dimed out. I got dimed out my junior year for stealing the AP Chem exam.
What, another student?
You know what? Yeah, and I didn't find out. Everybody has kept that a secret from me until like 4 years ago. Like it was that bad when I got in trouble. Yeah, and then
Wait,
it's like
and you know who the girl is now?
now I do. Yeah,
Hmm.
Was she valedictorian? Was she trying to like hold on to a prize or something? Or
Was
She
she
was.
one of the
She was-
lesbians
she
on the
was.
softball
No,
team that had
she
a crush
was-
on you?
she was on the student council.
A lesbian on the
So
student
I guess it
council.
was her duty or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Oh,
I didn't know.
what a
I was
fucking
I was
twat.
hot about it. The fact that that was held for me till I was like 28
You're still hot about
fucking
it.
mad.
Yeah.
No, I'm not mad about it now.
You
It
would
is what it
fucking
is.
slice her right now if you could.
I'd look her in the eye and say, "You were a snitch. You
Yeah,
snitched.
you
You
snitched, bitch.
snitched." Do you know what position you put me in? Like they pulled me in and were like, "Tell us who has it." I was like, I'm not doing that. Do you want me to die? I'm not fucking doing that. You know what I mean? Like you want me to sit here and dime all these people out? No way.
Yeah.
That's why
And
the key
people
is always to
still
get
got
one or
in
two
trouble.
questions wrong, just to be like,
Yeah.
hey.
Well, she just straight up dimed me out. Like they knew I had it. They knew I gave
Right,
it
right.
out. You know what I mean? Last day of school, they pulled me out of class. I was supposed to get my driver's license that day and shit. Like it was just yeah. So like
this girl sounds like the worst.
yeah, she wasn't weirdly. I'm trying to remember how she treated me my senior year. Cause like my senior year was weird. I walked in there and people were like mad at me. How the fuck is
Why?
she still here and shit like that? Like shocked that I wasn't expelled. But I did a whole fucking summer, of disciplinary summer school and didn't snitch anybody out. Like I didn't have to do that. I could have told on everybody and walked away and I didn't. So they were giving me shit senior year.
Well,
And
now
then
you
senior
should've.
year, it was like I was on my best behavior because I had a foot out the door. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
But
okay, so you're at Bloomsburg, right? What's
Yeah.
going on how long were you there for?
a summer. So I was a freshman summer session and I
Okay.
had a blast. I quickly adapted and
That cry, that frown turned upside down in a matter of
Yeah.
what, minutes?
Yeah,
Days?
about a week.
It might be in the boonies, but people in the boonies love to drink.
So
I've
my-
never heard. I know plenty of people went to Bloomsburg and no one had a bad time.
yeah.
No, not at all. So my
Good
roommate
wrestling up
ended
there
up
too.
my roommate ended up not coming. So I had my own room. I had no roommate in
Lucky,
the
you had
dorm.
the dorm meeting to chase them out.
Yep.
Oh.
Then I started dating a guy in a frat and would sleep at his place and rent out my room on the weekends for cash. Yeah. So I was like, I could not find a job up there for the life of me. For the life of me. I tried so hard to get a job up there and it was not fucking happening.
Dude, so I think, oh wow. I mean, you would rent out your rooms on the weekend for people would like come up and be like, hey, I'm just here to party. How much?
Yeah.
What, is it like $50? All right, fine, $50. You got my room.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
you can have my whole
wow.
room. Here's the keys. Go ahead. Have fun.
No
Good
kidding.
weekend.
Side note, I believe. No, he didn't. I thought Strong Stem went to Bloomsburg, but I think he went to
No,
East
it was just
Stroudsburg.
Stroudsburg.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Pete. All right, I was fucking wrong. All right, Pete. God.
So I had
Just fucking throw it in my.
I had a lot of fun up there, but no one told me I could change my schedule, which I should have done. Because I had a college study course first thing in the morning, like 8 a.m. And I barely went to any of them.
Yeesh.
So the semester ends and I end up failing that class. And I remember being on the phone with that professor. Like I had gotten my second underage up there and I already was told not to come home. So I was, middle of the night, hammered. I'm trying to convince this cop that he doesn't want to call my mom. He's like, I have to. You're 17. I was like, I promise you don't have to, and
Yeah.
you're gonna regret waking my mom up. Like I promise. So like he calls my mom, and I can't hear him, but I can see his face, and I'm just sitting there hammered, like looking and laughing because I can see whatever. I don't know what she was saying to him, but she was yelling.
He was like, oh, she was right. I shouldn't have called.
Yeah. So he's like, she wants to talk to you. I was like, do I have to? He's like, yeah. So I pick up the phone. Both parents are on the phone. They're on a separate
Ooh.
phone in the house. You know what I mean? The landline. They're in two separate rooms, flipping out at me. And I think my dad was like, you're really on my shit list. And I was like, well, you can add a tattoo to your shit list because I just got one of those too. While I have it, 'cause I was hammered. And then it was just, don't come home. Click. I was like, fuck.
The cop was
So-
probably like, this fucking girl is hilarious.
Yeah. I'm like, can I go now? Or am I being detained? What's up?
Yeah.
So funny enough, it was with the guy and his name was Brian Spencer. And they kept calling us Mr. and Mrs. Spencer the whole time.
Oh, all right. We're
And they
gonna.
had him locked up in a cell and had me like at a chair at a desk.
I mean, I can keep that guy's name.
was
in
funny.
Here. Why the fuck does it matter, right?
It was hilarious. No, he ain't listening.
Yeah. Oh,
So So yeah, so I was on the phone with my professor saying like, you can't, I'm not gonna, you're gonna kick me out of school. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't fail me. And she was like, well, you didn't show up to class. I was like, and I aced every test, didn't I? And she was like, excuse me. I was like, I got put in a college study skills class because somehow I didn't make it to college without that. One. And two, I came for every test and I passed all of them. She goes, but you have to participate in class. I was like, for what? I had college study skills. So I was like arguing with her and it just didn't work. So I got sent home.
What a jerk.
I came home.
Did you really pass every test?
Yeah, I went in for the test.
Then why the fuck does it
study
matter?
skills.
Why does it matter?
I don't know.
Matt, that's you have to look at your syllabus. So when I was in college, now everyone has
Look,
like
I haven't had syllabus
professor.coms.
in years. Okay, Pete. All right. I took the penicillin. I'm fine. No, keep going. Okay, syllabus.
When I was at Drexel, we had DU review before my professor, and they would put all the college syllabuses on. So some of the syllabuses, like they'll be like attendance is 50% of the class or 40% of the class or whatever. So you can't pass unless you go to class. I would always pick the class that had no attendance. It was all midterm and finals.
Yeah, well, I didn't know I was allowed to pick classes and have different classes and change my
Oh,
rosters
wow.
and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I
So
didn't know any
people
of that
talk
shit.
about that, like, hey, you want to do this class because this guy doesn't give a fuck
Freshman
about
year,
attendance.
you find out all the stuff about like all the things. You're like, oh, like that first term, like you start figuring it all out because your freshman year, your first term, it's all assigned to you. They're just like, here's your classes, take it. And then the next term, that's when you get to go on and pick
Oh,
so
pick
you
your
were
path.
kind of
never
got
made
like
it there.
Yeah, you kind of got the shit on the stick on that one, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get
okay.
sent home.
Your parents were so happy to see you.
Yep.
came
Yeah,
home.
that was pickup day was great.
Okay.
I get sent home. I come home, immediately start working. I went right back to Crossroads, was there for a while. And then I left there because I needed a full-time job. I kind of made the decision that I needed a so while I was in high school, I wanted to be a cop. That was always my thing. So 2000, I graduated in 2008. So I'm dealing with the recession right out of high school and also the hiring freezes. So like nowhere was hiring.
Yeah.
And especially the cops, they didn't hire for years.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to like, okay, what am I going to do kind of thing? You know what I mean? So I was trying all different shit. This is probably right around when I landed my first managerial job. This was probably, I was working at Crossroads and I was in the mall with my friend Lindsay. We were all applying for jobs, just like had a bunch of I remember you used to go in, just ask for an application and then fill it out.
Yep.
So we went to all these different stores, filling them out and bringing them back. This lady walks up to us and she was like, do you guys want to work with Santa pictures?
Oh,
and we were like, we're going to be elves. You know what I mean? And she's like, no, but yeah. And we were like, sold. You know what I mean? Like, no questions asked. So we interview with her. And at the end of the interview, she looks at me. She's like, do you want to be the manager? And I was like, oh, I don't know about all that. You know what I mean? I was like, what's involved in being a manager? You know? And she's like, well, you have to work 40 hours a week. You have to run payroll. You have to do that, do the schedules. Like, she's telling me everything. And I'm like sitting there shaking my head. She goes, and it's $4,000 for 5 weeks. I was like, done. You know what I mean? It's like,
okay, now that you mention it.
yeah, I'm 18 years old. And you just handed me $4,000.
Right.
Done. Yeah, but still, I was never handed that kind of money before. Like $1,000 a week. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Yeah, back then
I
I was
making
rich.
Yeah,
minimum
that
wage was $6.50.
In cheddar.
So I did that for years. So Santa and the Easter Bunny. It was seasonal. I made thousands every year and just hired all of my friends. And it was a fucking shit show. It was absolutely hilarious.
So how many years did you do that for?
I did that for like 3 or 4 years. It was just a random, I would double up on whatever I was doing. I was basically like working 80-hour weeks when that was happening. But it was only for a month. So I was like, fuck it, you know?
Yeah. And you're
How close was it to a bad Santa?
Dude, my Santa was awful. I had 2 Santas, but the one I had majority of the time, I had to do it for longer than 4 years. He was awful. His name was Paul, and his wife Dawn worked with us. She was the assistant manager, but I wasn't allowed to call him we weren't allowed to call him by his name. We had to call him Santa in front of kids.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to fuck it up. So we never called him Paul. We always called him Santa. And he hated me. Me and him used to fight, but back then I thought I was tough. Like I had a mouth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we're in the middle of the mall. I have
Oh yeah,
like,
you've gotten rid of that since then.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it was a lot worse, trust me. So it was like a line down the mall. I got angry parents screaming at me, kids screaming, you know what I mean? And he's fucking fighting with me. And there's so many. I remember this one time I was like, listen, Santa, like yelling at him. He hated that I was his manager, that I was a female, that I was younger than him. Like he hated all of it.
Oh.
And this one little girl's like, she's not getting anything for Christmas.
Yeah,
And the
little
Easter
they
bunny
know.
would come around and it was all of us. It was all my friends. So it was all of us getting in the suit. And we would be in their shit house. We would be in there hungover. So many people had barfed in that suit, passed out in that suit,
no.
falling asleep in it. Yeah. My friend Lindsay used to do
no.
gymnastics in it. Like we would do ridiculous shit.
Wait, so you did Santa and the
And
Easter
the
Bunny?
Easter bunny. Yep, it
Oh
was the
my
same
God,
photo company.
No way.
Yep.
Wow, that's fucking hilarious. That seems like, I mean, on the surface, it seems like that would be an entertaining gig, but in reality, that had to fucking suck.
That was my first, like, besides CVS and like the occasional bullshit, that was my first like real customer service job. And you got stressed out parents with screaming kids around Christmas time. Like it's a
Oof.
fucking lot. You know what I mean?
Oof.
Right.
So that was my first like, okay, ma'am situation. I never ever yelled at any customers, but
Yeah.
that was the first time I dealt with that. But that was also the first time I've ever managed people. So even with my friends, like I had to put them in check. You have to fucking show up. Like you're fucking me.
Right.
If you don't show up, I have to
Yeah.
come in
Yeah.
and all this shit. And I had to do that a million times, go in there in the middle of the night and fix the register. Someone counted it wrong during their shift. Like I had to go constantly. That was my first taste of like managerial responsibility. And I've kind of been doing that ever since, to be honest.
Okay, so you just kind of stopped, like you just were like, all right, I'm not coming back to this one this year, and then you moved on from there to what was after managing the mall Santa.
So that was seasonal. So I did that for a couple years. I think my first full-time job was at a collection agency.
Okay, and
That was my
what
first
were you-
full-time job.
What were you doing there?
I was doing collections. That was another hard taste of reality.
What?
Hi,
So
my name's Diana. I'm calling from the law offices of blah, blah, blah. Just
This
calling in
that's
regards
just
to
being
your,
recorded in
Yup.
case of
for your safety and our own. Just calling in regards to your Discover account, which is now blah, blah, blah. People losing their fucking mind on me.
Did
I was
you
a
get
bill, I was a
commission
bill
from that?
collector. No.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
really? No
No, I made
commission.
it $11 an hour when I left there.
no shit.
Yep.
So that's not fucking. So like you were like almost like, I wouldn't say a telemarketer, but you were calling, being like, hey, you owe this.
I was a bill
money.
collector.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
man.
Local, yeah.
So
I
you
always
were
thought they got
just as
commission. I
much
thought that was
hated.
the whole emphasis why they were so gung ho about collecting. Because
Yeah,
I
no.
remember like, oh, you're just like, well, who would even like, who cares?
Some people did get commission checked. I didn't, because I didn't do that much collection. I was young and I didn't do that much collections. I more kind of I did some of it. Like I didn't really hunt as much as they were quick calls, like the easy ones. You knew they were going to pay. They were on a plan or whatever the case is. And then I would take all their information. If someone's bank got declined or whatever, their card went bad, I would call them back and shit like that. But I got screamed at. No one liked it.
No
So
one likes the bill collectors.
no.
Yep.
So okay. So after the bill. Okay. So after the bill collectors, then where did you go from there?
I don't know. That was when I got my first apartment. I remember that.
So I mean, when did you do the office at the daycare?
Later, years later.
Okay. What
Trying
about
to think. This is what's crazy. Like I've job hopped so much. I don't even know where I went. I think I did go there. No, I went to the security firm after that.
Okay.
So I worked
what
in
is-
security.
Okay. So after you were at the collection agency, you went to a security firm. What were you doing at the
Mhm.
security firm?
Just office work, but mostly with just office work, but mostly they were all armed guards. And that was another weird check. So everyone was just like handing me their guns because I had to write the serial numbers down, and I never touched a fucking gun before. But these people were just handing them to me, and I'm like, "Is this loaded? Can you fucking take it from me?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we did some unarmed stuff. Yeah, we did some unarmed stuff, but that was hard. That was a really like revolving door job. No one ever really stuck with it. But we did like the convention center. We would always do like the flower show and the car show and the gun show and shit like that. And then I left there, and then I went to I was at the daycare, I think. There might be jobs between there.
Okay.
All this time I was going to different schools though. Like I was at CCP.
All
That
right.
didn't work out. Work always took over whatever I was doing.
Okay.
That was
So
the
you
thing.
register for classes, then all of a sudden money starts coming in. And you're like,
Yeah, I
well,
can't skip this shift. I got to miss class kind of thing. That's kind of how it went. I withdrew from it. Well, I always like missed the cutoff to withdraw. I kind of got fucked. I would hold steady for a while, and then I would watch my average. And the minute my average hit the point of no return, I was done. You know. So I went to CCP. I went to Monaco and did that. And so I kept switching schools instead of going back to school so that my GPA wouldn't follow me and I wouldn't have to pay for classes twice.
Alright.
So that was my logic there.
Okay.
Then I worked at a nursing home full time for a long time, just serving food. I actually really liked that job. I had a crazy ass Russian boss. Me and her got in a straight up fight in the kitchen once. She's like launching plates at me and shit. Yeah.
What?
Gita. Yep, your Gita was her name.
Your Gita?
She was nuts. Yeah.
You're messing with your Gita?
Yeah, me and your
is
Gita.
that your
had
Gita
it
with
out.
a J or a Y?
With a J.
Oh, baby. Your Gita
then I
is
left
coming
there.
at you.
And then I went to then I was in the daycare. That was a weird job. I didn't like that one, but I was in the office again. I wasn't really doing much with the kids.
Yeah.
And then, so
you were
started
doing
heavily,
like payroll and the schedule and stuff.
yeah, I started
Okay.
really getting involved with business. I started learning the back end of everything. And actually Santa kind of set me up for that. I was able to go in and say, I have experience with payroll. I have experience with scheduling. Like
Yeah.
I did have that experience, whether it was what they wanted or not. I did have that experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it worked out for me. After then I ended up working at a hospital in the ER doing registration, and I fucking hated that job. That was the one and only job I walked out of guns blazing. Lost my mind walking out of there.
At the ER, what were you
Yep.
did registration?
Yeah, so like you come in and you get triaged and you go back in your room, and then I come in and basically ask for all your information and how you're going to pay for it.
Okay.
Right.
And then, so what happened that?
And then
drove
she
you
finds out how many
nuts?
people don't plan on paying for it.
Yeah, all the drug
Really?
seekers. All the drug seekers. I would go in like, "What's your name?" Like, Mary Doe. I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah. What's your social, Mary Doe?"
Yeah. she's
11111. I'm like, "Oh, okay. I see how this is gonna go. I'm gonna."
So you're like,
leave now."
what are you there for? She's like, I want you to insert one of those drips into my arm. That way I
Yeah.
can shoot up once I get out of here. Much easier.
Exactly. The night shift was pretty entertaining. I will say that. Like I got a bunch of cops who come in with drunk people coming to get their blood taken and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like people would come in with shit stuck up their butt. Oh my God. There was this one guy who had a
You're like straight out
vibrator.
of Jackass.
Yeah. There was this one guy who had a vibrator stuck in him. And we were giggling about it. Like it sucks because you're not supposed to, but we were fucking giggling about it. You
Was
know
it
what
like
I mean?
a little bullet, or was it like one of those big? Like, was it like something like, oh, this is?
I think it was like a bullet. I don't know. I didn't see the x-rays. I just saw foreign body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I go in his room and I start asking all sorts of questions that I have no business asking because they don't know any better.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
They just see scrubs and they're like, oh, she's got to be a doctor or a
right.
nurse or something.
Yeah. So I'm in there. I think I was in there. The whole thing was to make someone laugh, like try to get someone to break, whoever was in the room, whether it was a nurse's aide or a nurse or whatever, a CNA. So whoever was in the room, I'm in there. I'm like asking, okay, what's your name? Is this your address, your social? What insurance do you have? I was like, okay. And are you feeling any discomfort? Like this is when I asked nothing. I asked nothing about anyone's health.
Yeah.
But here I am doing it. Are you feeling any discomfort right now? No, I think I'm all right for the moment. I'm like, okay. The only question I have is it on? Is it on? Just trying to get them to laugh, dude.
He's
It's
like, yeah,
hilarious.
that's not my phone buzzing. All right. It's, it's a,
Oh my God.
oh my God. That is,
Yeah. Other than that, I never really like read only foreign body. That was the only time I ever like looked into like what's going on in that room. You know what I mean? Other than that, I hated that job, dude. People are so fucking mean when they're sick. 1, 2, people are fucking disgusting. Pete, are you sure you want to go into nursing? Because your mom is an angel. You know what I mean? I could not take that. I wouldn't even let anyone use my pen. Like I was like, gloves. I was constantly washing down. Like I fucking hated that job. Hated it.
Yeah.
But a
I
coworker,
can see why certain people are turned off by it, but you know.
yeah,
For
that's not
sure.
for me. I don't like people that much, I guess. You know what I mean? I'm social, but that's about it.
So, okay. So then after that job finally fucking draws you to the razor's edge, you say hit the bricks, take off.
Yeah,
Then-
I rolled out of there. So my
then-
thought with there was that was
On a
that,
small car she found in someone's rectum.
yeah, that place was a shoe-in. So that the thing with the hospital, I was always trying to get into places like that because there's a lot of opportunity for growth. There's always somewhere for me to go. I tried to transfer out of my department. There was a lot of competition, so it was hard. But that was like the ideal. I wanted to get into a place like that. I'll never deal with hospital politics again. That corporate politics in that fucking place, never again.
Really?
So
that
yeah,
bad?
oh, it's so bad. It's so fucking bad. It's not even funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. So then I go, I leave there and I work for these Russian guys. So they own dental offices, and I ended up being their director of
Russian
operations
dentist.
after
This
a
sounds
while.
interesting.
Where were
They weren't dentists. They just owned it. So what we did was we rented someone's dental license to operate under, right? He lived out in fucking Montana or something, an old man. We rented his license to operate under. Yeah, totally legal. Rented his license to operate the business under, and then we had our dentist that we hired that had their rounds. So we had a couple of those, and that was going well. There was a lot of money involved in that. If you can do dental right, there's a lot of fucking money in that.
Yeah. Where was this dentist office at?
That one, the one I
Not
worked
Kensington.
in, my office was on Germantown Ave. It was fucking rough.
Did you ever hear? Did you ever hear the joke? Who's the richest person in Kensington?
Oh,
Yeah.
The Tooth Fairy.
How do you know? How do you know? How do you know Kenzo?
Who's the poorest?
How do you know Kenzo invented the toothbrush?
How?
Anyone else would have called it the teeth brush.
What's Pete? What was your joke?
Oh, who's the poorest guy in Kensington?
Who?
The dentist.
Oh, Kensington. Okay. So
we had
in
a couple dental
Germantown.
offices. Yeah, we had a couple dental offices, but my office was on top of one in the middle of the fucking hood. Dude, I got followed in my car a zillion times. Like that place was dangerous. Yeah, that place was dangerous as shit. I walked into a knife fight by accident once. Like it was just ridiculous.
A Russian knife fight?
You said it was the incisor, you motherfucker.
Yeah, these people
I
just
asked for
barreled
the
in.
molar. Yeah.
So I liked that job and I learned a lot. And even the guys, I'm really tight with one of them still. But the other one ended up doing insurance fraud. So I rolled.
Oh,
And
wow.
we all rolled. Yeah, we rolled out real quick when we found out that was happening.
Oh, baby. That's
It's like your mom, I think Pete, your mom was saying like they were making sure, people were billing the right codes and stuff like that.
Yeah, they audited obviously because of this kind of a thing. Like, just make sure,
No,
but I think it's one of those things like people don't realize, like they think little offices, but it's like, like everyone gets audited. Yeah, they're always going through making sure.
Yeah. The way he did it was for behavior. There's a behavioral code, right? So he had them put that on everybody. Every single person that came in the door had behavioral. And it wasn't too much money, but it was money,
So it was I'm taking care of people that are rough to take care of, like kind of a thing. Like,
But the thing is with dentistry, it's not like, a kid who's rough or like a dementia patient who's rough. Like with dentistry, if you're billing for behavioral, it's someone you got to strap down. You know what I mean? It's not just nothing. So that's what he ended up getting hit for. All of a sudden, all the letters started coming in. I was like, I'm fucking out of here. But my name was attached to everything as their director of operations because we were opening a bunch of them. We were flipping, and there was a lot involved in that. So I learned a lot out of that job. And I actually ended up buying my first house at 22 working there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I did really well there. And then from there, I kind of just managed. Like I found out that's my thing. And it's funny because I kept going to school trying to at that point, especially coming out of high school in 2008, I couldn't get a fucking job. I started, it was like you needed a degree to be an admin. You know what I mean?
That was the year I graduated college and I got my job guaranteed in the spring. But the week I started is when it all fell apart. And I'm talking to other friends and they're like, yeah, we can't get jobs.
It was so hard to get a job without a degree. I would go in and I remember being upset.
Donnie, even if you had a degree, you needed 3 to 5 years experience minimum, no matter
what.
I
had the experience, but no degree, and no one would even interview me. I would start calling people why am I not even being considered? I started getting mad about it.
Yeah. I would too.
Yeah. So,
okay. Go ahead.
I forget. I was still in and out of Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so when I think I met you, right? You weren't at the dental office anymore, right?
Just left there.
But I think because I think this all happened at once, where you would clean houses, you would paint, but then also you were bartending at the same time. Is that right? Like you did all that at the same time?
No, I was the one thing about me is I did go into food service at 16 and I never got out. So I've always, that's throughout all the things I've told you, that's always been a second job.
You've been always waitressing and bartending.
I've
You always need your cash fix.
Yep.
Always.
So I knew your brother since I was 18 years old, working at Applebee's. I worked there for years.
That's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that.
So it's like I've always had a second job where I could just go pump cash and leave and then not touch my paychecks. That was kind of how I worked everything out. Then after the dental office, I think I left there abruptly. Like I had to. It was getting dangerous. My name was like attached to a lot of shit. So left there abruptly. And I think I started at Graham's before I left there. It wasn't after. And then I left there, found another job. I worked I was an account manager for a maintenance company out of Jersey. I managed a restaurant in King of Prussia.
What restaurant?
Cantina. I don't even know if it exists anymore. Cantina Laredo was bartending there too. Hated that place. Didn't last long there at all.
I mean, Graham's is what it is, but I love Graham's. I always love Graham's.
The thing with Graham's is we were all fighting for shifts. You know what I mean? It wasn't enough.
Enough work. You make fucking. I'll tell you this.
You do.
You make fucking money there. I've worked at a bunch of places. I've worked at a bunch of like hot spots. Worked at a bunch of high end places. None of them compares. Graham's is number one.
For no reason. Doesn't even make sense for being a corner bar, like neighborhood bar, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, you ain't kidding. It is, and it's like you're there, you run the show. Like there's no manager up your ass. There's no bullshit you have to deal with. It's you and a cook, and you got to fucking get it done.
Like people were fucking with me, and your brother who hired me. And I remember calling him and telling him, like, dude, people are fucking with me. You know what I mean? And he was like, yell at them. And I was like, yell at them. And he's like, yeah, just yell. He's like, tell them, don't fucking come back here during my shift. Like, I was like, I can do that. And the rest is history. Like that was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
So
but I feel like that endeared you to people even more when you'd be like, dude, fuck off.
I made so much money. Dude, why did people listen to me, Matt? That's my thing. Like, I'm teeny tiny, and all I did was scream, and everyone would just stop. Like whatever they were doing, it stopped. I just had to drop a mom.
Well, you were in charge of the alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think it had anything to do with that. It was like, all right, that's enough, and it would just stop.
Yeah,
like
I've seen it happen.
It's just really weird.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
But like you said, there's no
like,
manager. There's no like you're in between them and their alcohol.
I'm the bouncer. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like
there's nothing else.
Yeah. Plus, too, you do have like there's regulars that have your back. You know,
that's
like
true.
there's
true.
like a Graham's.
They like their spot. It's their safe spot. You know, they don't want it to be ruined.
Agreed. Graham's has its own kind of police force, if you will.
Oh, for sure.
Like the client, like the people that go in there, like, look, this is our spot. This is what we like here. If you come in, you fuck up the vibe. You're gonna.
They like it a particular way, and the bartenders enforce that particular way, and there you go.
Yeah.
Like they're not like there's a bunch of like off-duty cops and firemen and stuff that come in and things like that. So like you can't be doing blow in the bathroom and like
people were doing blow in the bathroom. People were doing blow on the bar.
We should probably cut that.
Well, no, they would, right? But I think if it wasn't for like the cops and stuff like that, it'd be a lot worse, and like it would bring in like the wrong element. I think there was like it was like the fucking stunads doing blow and being idiots, and it was always like the same guys, and everyone kind of knew it. But then but it wasn't like fucking people coming in there to get their fix and like whack
20
up
people
and all that.
Going to the bathroom at once, throwing.
Dude, there's some crazy ass people that have walked in and out of that place. I thought I was gonna die in there once. I really thought I was gonna die.
How bad is Carnival Week with the gypsies?
Carney Payday. Carney Payday is the fucking worst.
It's the fucking
worst. They drink so much
on this
Jaeger.
Carney Payday thing, because I don't think most of our listeners know what
so
there's a church down since I was a kid. Every year a carnival comes and just rolls out on that land, and Apparently at Grams, every time they come around, that Wednesday is Carney payday. So they cut the whole fucking place comes in the day they get paid,
the
and they
fucking
get shit
carnies.
house.
So this is
Yeah.
like what's that movie with Hugh Jackman where
The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, The Greatest Showman. It's like when he shows up with like all of his
Yeah,
his
there's a bunch
employees.
of bearded ladies and all that kind of stuff going on. No, but these carnies will show up and like, dude, like I think the one year
They were
had-
all banging each other for sure.
Oh, they did, and
like they would get hammered and make out all over the place. It was they
it was,
stunk. Remember the one year they had bed bugs?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh, don't sit down. Don't sit down.
It was
don't
a
sit on the
hazard.
stool.
Yeah, they were a nightmare, and it was 1 week a year. They would start fights with the locals.
Did they tip or were they gypsies? Real gypsies?
They were
They
gypsies.
barely tipped.
They were
yeah,
jippos.
they barely
Total
tipped.
jippos. Never tipped. Total pains in the asses too. Right? Like all like they would just be fucking annoying. And
But they brought a crowd because everyone wanted to watch Carney Payday. You know what I mean? Like it was entertaining. It was a people watching night.
So you suffered through that to get the spectator money.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's the fucking carnies, man.
Carney Payday.
Fucking carnies. So okay, so let's keep it moving. So where are we at now? I want to talk like we've been over most everything. I want to talk about what you're doing now, right? So you're doing like you've done. Well, we'll talk real estate. I want to do real estate a little bit, and then your current position. Is that cool?
Yeah. So I basically kept running through just different jobs. I like you said, I cleaned houses at one point. There was another point I started painting houses, and that actually like totally took off. I made really good money doing that. And it was just me painting houses. That was a weird one.
Just you by yourself?
Yeah. I did that for a long time. But also a second job. So I was constantly during the day trying to find my day job. What's my career? I was trying to develop a career, but financially live.
Yeah.
Right.
And then at one point I ended up able to survive off of grams. I think I picked up a shift. So that made it easier to have another shift every week. My boyfriend at the time, we had a discussion like, I'm going to go back to school.
Yeah.
Philly U.
Okay. So you're at Philly U. Okay.
Now Jefferson.
Yeah. So I was kicking ass in there. And then it turned out my mom had
And you were going for econ?
Yeah. Turned out my mom had the ages wrong. What she was thinking of was like when you get kicked off of health insurance. So they tried to backbill me for the 2 years I was there. And I was like, nope, I'm out. See ya. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have fucking paid. It was a $40,000.
They tried to send you a bill afterwards?
Yeah.
A couple years
I went into the registrar's office. Like she called me. She was super cool. And she called me in and she's like in a panic about like what we're going to do. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? She goes, you have to pay for everything now. You've hit the age limit. And I was like, whoa, no, I didn't. I have time left. And she's like, no.
So the back years were already covered. It's just like go on a go forward basis. You don't have.
You had until you were 24. And my mom told me we had till I was 26. But at the time, that was when Obamacare and you were able to be on your parents' health insurance until 26.
Yeah.
So she had the ages mixed up. So they tried to backbill me for the two. They didn't try to. She was basically like, you have two options. You can just walk or try to transfer your credits and risk getting backbilled.
Yeah.
If they catch it. And I was like, well, I'm fucking walking. So that it sucked. That was the first time in my life, no cheating. I had straight A's. I had almost a 4.0 and I couldn't do anything with it. So after that, it was all right, fuck school. I'm fucking done. I'm in, student loan debt with no degree. This is like, I was just doing good and somehow it didn't work out. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
So then I went into real estate. So then I wanted to get into property management and real estate. I wanted to get my license. And I ended up bookkeeping and collecting for a broker over University City. So he was all mostly college kids and Section 8 and shit.
Pete's old stomping grounds. Pete lived at Spring Garden. He lived on Spring Garden and 36
in Spring Garden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was right off Carrollton.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I really liked that. I started learning the ins and outs of real estate and like how much money can really be made in this. You know what I mean? And so I really wanted to dive deeper into that. I was trying to find another gig. I didn't like the one I was at. My boss was nuts. And he was kind of a slumlord. So it was rough. It was hard to deal with people. And then I ended up bouncing around.
Everyone
a
in
little
the
bit.
University City is a slumlord.
Yeah. I ended up actually at another restaurant. I was a AGM over at this place in Valley Forge, and I hated that one too. And then I left there and found my current job. So I hated that job so much that I was just trying to get out. And the job I'm at now was just hiring for an admin, and they were around the corner from my house. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to I'm going to go there until I find something different just to get the hell out of here. It's walking distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I go in for an interview and I realize like they need help. Like they need a lot of help. You know what I mean? This is a business that's growing way too fast, and they're having a hard time. So whatever I needed to say, I got me in there. And as soon as I got in, I was promoted in 3 months. And now I'm
What's it? Yeah.
I'm in line to be
I realize when you're the admin at a place, you are in charge of everything. So you can make if you get down there and you're competent, you can make huge changes and huge differences and like definitely build your way up. It's pretty nuts. I worked in multiple tax departments, and having a good admin, it's like pay this person whatever the fuck they want. Like they keep everything like organized and structured. It makes everything just smooth, runs so smoothly.
Well, when I went in there, none of that was done. You know what I mean? So they were a young company. They started out of college. They haven't really worked anywhere else. So they didn't really know that part of it. You know what I mean? So I came in and I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Whipped it right up into shape. I was promoted in 3 months, got my own office in 3 months. And then now I've been there for almost 4 years. So it's just a real estate development company. We do architecture. We're the one-stop shop. So we do all the architecture, get you approved by the city, all that shit. Then we can pre-sell your home with pre-construction marketing. So we have animators that basically make animations of your house before it's even built, just based off the plans. And then our construction guys build the house.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
This is the hardest.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Because it's like they're like same industry, but 3 separate industries at the same time. It's like I have 3 separate companies trying to run.
Their own entities. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really fucking difficult. But ground up, I mean, we've done so much in the past. It'll be 4 years this year. We've done so much in the past 4 years. It's just not even funny. We've made the Inc. 500 list a couple times, like fastest growing company in Philly.
Awesome.
Yeah, we've really been killing it.
Nice, dude. And that's honestly, I guarantee your organizational skills have a lot to do with that. I want to get into this though. So can you kind of give for the listeners a rundown of like, what's a day in the life like for the dangerous one, dangerous Diana, delinquent Diana, Diana, the dangerous one? What is like a day in the life like for you at your current position? So you wake up, you get into work. What are you doing?
All right. Everything. So I wake up at 4:30 so that I can get an hour by myself before I go in.
Wow.
And then I go in and I immediately, the first thing I do is bang out some accounting just to get everything up to date so I could see accurate numbers for the day.
Trying to make sure those invoices are recorded properly.
Right. Make sure some transactions, like make sure I see them. They're just not flipping past me. Like I want to see what actually happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure everything's copacetic. And then
nice word.
I do some HR shit to go through my day. Right. So I do what I basically handle is HR, finance and accounting, and then operations. And operations is what my real job is, right? So that's really all I should be doing. And what my job focuses around is just making sure everything is revenue generating and efficient. Are we doing this the most efficient way? This is our process and policy. Is this the most efficient way? How can it be done better? And then what kind of revenue is it generating? You know what I mean? Or is there another way to, get a revenue stream out of this? There's all different aspects of this, right?
Yeah.
So I don't get to focus on that as much as I'd like to. It's really fucking hard. Because it's 3 separate businesses. Like I said, they're all doing different things. So to sit and focus on one of them, it's tough. But the big thing right now, like COVID has kicked my ass all the way down to the ground.
Yeah.
It's such a nightmare. Since the day we got sent home, I remember sitting in front of the TV. Everyone's in a panic. We're trying to figure out what to do. I'm calling everyone I know. I've gone my whole life. And I totally, like Erica Nardini, the Barstool CEO, she always says, fuck your business degree, right? And I totally agree with it because I have learned everything that I know from somebody else. I lied on my resume saying I knew how to be a bookkeeper. I didn't, but I learned from a great accountant who answered my questions. You know what I mean? I've learned everything I know from someone with experience. And at this point, no one's had experience with a pandemic. So like there was no one I could call. Everyone's like, we don't know what we're doing yet, you know? So we're all
Everyone's just figuring it out. You're on the same page.
Yeah.
It's a great equalizer.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out, you know, if we have to do layoffs, like what do we do? We're creating our scenarios. You know, when we hit this number, we got to do something, you know. And then I'm watching on MSNBC, this guy have a fucking meltdown. He's crying on TV. It was like, it was a lot. It was really a fucking lot. Everyone was scared for their job. We were scared for our business. We thought that was the end because L&I shut the city down. We couldn't build. We had half-built houses that we weren't allowed on these job sites. You know. And then we have L&I not reviewing plans, so we can't move forward with our architecture plans.
Yeah.
So it just became this huge nightmare. And then coming out of that, everything skyrocketed. I can't tell you how furious my clients are. Every day I get screamed at by a client because jobs are delayed and prices have gone up, which is both things completely out of our control. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are you going to do? Like everyone just saved up money for a year and a half and decided to spend it all at once. Like what's going to happen?
Well, lumber tripled. What am I supposed to do? I have to renegotiate this contract. We can't eat that. You know what I mean? That's not our fault.
Copper the same way. Copper's shot up.
The amount of shit getting stolen off our job sites is insane. Insane.
Does liability cover that? Or
but it takes for fucking ever. It's not even if someone steals our windows, which keeps happening.
Yeah,
they're fucking 8 weeks out. Like I can't put a frame up until I get windows in.
Yeah, so Matt, you also they stole the appliance when it cost $10, and you're buying it back when it costs $400. The insurance only costs what you bought it at.
So your indemnity is going to come back to wow. So you're not even going to cover. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
Pete, you're a fucking genius.
COVID's just been our absolute fucking nightmare, and I think it's just begun. Like China shut down their ports on us again, and we get a lot for like our windows from them. That limits us to like Pella. You know what I mean? Because that's American made.
And Diana, I just want to touch on this too, just in the general sense of like the other thing too is like the big thing that people want is a decoupling from China, right? No one trusts China. We don't want products from China. And so there is we'll call it a bipartisan push to decouple from China, but that's also going to result in some of these supply shocks as well. Not that I'm against it, but like at the end of the day, like changing a global supply chain is an expensive endeavor.
Well, our lumber was from Canada. Our lumber was from fucking everywhere except here. So it was like this every time another country shut down, we were fucked. Like it was a constant, never-ending thing.
Grow the lumber in Canada, send it to China, have it refurbished, sent down to Mexico, and then back down here. That's the whole.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So like. Honestly, I think that's something that I think is going to be a huge shift back to America is we're going to start producing our own shit again. These factories are going to start opening back up because this is a fucking nightmare. It's a goddamn, I can't get a subcontractor for the life of me. They are so busy that they're another thing that are fucking me. Right. So like I hire you to do my HVAC and it's like, all right, it's a 20 grand job. Great. But you know, tomorrow you get offered $100 grand job and you just never show up to my job site. You know what I mean? Like you have so much work that you don't give a shit about me. So it's just this constant, endless cycle. It sucks. It's crazy. And then like, you know, I don't know. I don't think people really realize and then everyone's attitude, like people being stuck at our people working from home for a year. Some of them liked it. Some of them didn't. You know, every day I subscribe to the Harvard Business Review, which I love when it comes to business, because it's mostly numbers. It's not so much opinion. It's like, here's all this data. We ran this study. Yeah, here's what we think, but do whatever you want. And I'm constantly reading about burnout. And the newest thing is working from home, that people are using that. I've been hit as an employer to learn how to adapt my company for people to work from home. And I'm getting hit as an employee, like on LinkedIn and shit, on how to negotiate working from home with an employer. That fucks me. Like I'm working on processes in the office. For me to have to figure out how to do this remotely is insane and monitor that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people, there's more available jobs than there are unemployed Americans right now. Like they're calling, I just read an article. They're calling it the Great Resignation. People are just quitting their jobs left and right.
Yeah, you know what it is? Like, people are realizing, because inflation's up a little bit, and everyone's realizing, well, you know what? Like, my salary should go up. You know what? Like, I'm doing all this kind of stuff, and it kind of makes sense in a certain sense. Like, okay, like I'm working from home now. You guys are saving a bunch of money on office space. Not only that, but I'm using my own internet, my own electricity, you know what I mean? Like all this kind of stuff. why shouldn't I be getting a larger nut from all this kind
Well,
of
there's
crazy
that.
stuff?
And then there's also people who want shit. Like people, I think another thing of COVID was like people, some people hated it, but some people liked it. People had more freedom. So now people are trying to negotiate, 32-hour work weeks and like better benefits and like shit like that, where it's like, it's great. It really is great, but it's just fucking hard.
I know somebody that took a second job and didn't quit the other job. So they were working their job as we'll say it's a copyright or whatever, and then all of a sudden they get an interview for another copyright job, and they didn't want to quit the first job until they know how good the second job was going, and they realized that they were only spending about 15 hours a week on each job. The rest of the time they were just available for emails in case something happened, and it's like, well, why won't I just double my salary? You know what I mean? Like double my 401k, like all this
And they
kind of
could.
stuff.
It was totally working. We had to screen for that when we're hiring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're having a really hard time right now. It's just nuts.
Dude.
It's all crazy. And then dealing with the regular end of business, you know what I mean? Like I get treated as shit, like as a woman in this industry, you know what I mean? I'm like constantly fighting. There's just like, it's just I'm at a point where it's great.
Listen,
like,
ma'am, you don't understand. You're like, motherfucker, you called me ma'am again.
I don't even get that, dude. I don't get looked in the eye. It's like insane. Like the one thing I've learned actually through college, I really like dove into neurology and psychology. I'm like crazy into it, but I have learned to fuck with people. Like an asshole client comes in, I'm immediately like, something in your teeth. And I'll immediately bring them back down to earth and then fuck with them the entire time they're there. If you're going to treat me like shit, then I'm going to make you self-conscious the entire time you're here.
Wow.
Oh, your shirt shrunk today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your tie's crooked. And every time they look over, I just go like this. Like I just grab at it. Like I want you to, and it throws them off when they're trying to be tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Damn, that's a great tactic. I might have to steal that. Nice. Dude, I'm glad to see this because, I've known you for a while here and I've always thought very highly of you and known like your work ethic and how you are as a person and stuff like that. So I'm really happy to see that you found something where you're fucking kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, man.
What do you like? But do you like what you're doing though?
I love my job. And that's the first time in my life I've ever been able to say that. I wish it was not like, this is the first vacation I've taken in God knows how long. Right. Like, and I'm still bent because I want to work. Like I'm just like it's where we were talking
wondering
about
what's going on, right?
You can feel piling up.
It's not even that. I have a week of peace to problem solve. Like we were talking about, that chick who's a biologist where it's just constantly on your mind. How can I solve this problem? How can I solve this problem? And I'm sitting.
Yeah, it was Jill our last day. Yeah, like where she's just like, oh, like all of a sudden, like you just had the downtime. Like I might have just had an epiphany. That's
light bulb. I got to write this down. Yeah. So I know damn well right now. So there's this new animal called Smart Sheets. Have you heard of that, Pete? So it is Excel on crack. It's all the formulas of Excel and all this shit. But the biggest thing is you can create a dashboard. So I can have all the different everything I need to know from every different aspect of our business.
What's
and
it
have
called?
a dashboard.
Smart Sheets.
And I have a dashboard that I can update every morning, and that'll give me a red flag and point me in a direction where I need to look that day. You know what I mean? Rather than me finding out too late about it. But I have to create
pivot tables
the
for Diana. You have the Smart Sheets. You're ready to go.
Well, the thing is, I got to create the templates and I got to create the form. Like I got to do all that work. So I just painted my office because it was making me anxious. I'm like, I got to get on my computer. I got to do something home. I never get this much quiet, and they know I needed this break because I've been spazzy lately. So I'm like, my phone is not ringing. Like everyone is leaving me alone lately. Yeah. But the other part about it is culture, like the culture shift. I have a lot of young people.
So we're coming to the top of time. One thing I did want to ask Pete, and I think we've been seeing this, Pete, where people that are like passionate about what they do and like what they do really seem to be happier with their jobs. Would you agree with that, Pete? Like when we talk to people here?
Well, yeah, obviously, right? You're only going to be passionate about things that you care about. So it's always good to be working something you care about.
Right. But I think like they're more successful as well. Right. Like,
well, yeah, I would hope so. Yeah.
All right. Well, then shit all over what I just fucking said. Then, okay, Pete? Jesus fucking Christ. All right. But we're coming to the top of time. Diana, I'm really happy to hear like you're passionate about what you're doing. You're very successful at it. You like what you're doing. Those are all great things that we should talk about. But, some people like to shit on them. Either way, no, I'm kidding. But Diana, really happy to see like the success you're having and how well you're doing. And as far as I've known you, this is well deserved and really, 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 really proud of you. And we're coming to the top time. So happy to hear about all this stuff. Really interesting what you're doing, and I like it. And I really like the the background of it and like the licensing and dealing with the city and all the different kind of things that go into this.
I probably should have talked about that more because it is interesting and it's a
L&I
game.
is a
It's all a
beast,
game.
yeah.
L&I is a fucking beast and they're fucking everybody right
Yeah.
now. But it's all a game. Business is a game, and that's what I like about it. You know what I mean? I wake up every day just like, how am I going to beat the game today?
Nice.
How am I going to be the winner?
Nice. See, now that's cool, right? Like you have like, it's almost like a competition and you're like trying to figure it out. But honestly, the fact that you're wearing all those different hats at your job, that's impressive. All right, D. So really proud of you, all the things you've accomplished, all the different hats you're wearing. You're kicking ass. You're doing great things. Me and Pete are usually on the same page with this. But, I know you're going to be on the poppin', but we would love to have you back on this show if you'd be willing to come back on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I have a lot to talk about.
Hey, good.
When it comes to work, there's a lot.
Hey, good. I'm glad we want to hear it all because that shit is fascinating. That's the kind of stuff we want to get into. People see houses and stuff and construction sites and everything. They have no idea how much interest, all the intricacies and everything that goes into that. The licensing, the insurance, just even the supplies and stuff. It's fascinating.
Yeah, what builds our world around us?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And are they built right?
Yeah. How about it? How freaking about it? So we're coming to the top of time. Before we get out of here, Diana, is there anything that you want to say to the legions and legions of your adoring fans?
Bust your ass at work. It eventually pays off. I did it for a long time. And this one's paying off,
Good.
Sweat
Glad to
equity.
hear it.
That's what it's all about. Sweat equity.
It happens eventually.
There is some time, I agree. You have to be, it does suck when you're busting your ass and you're not getting the, getting the recognition or appreciation or just getting moved up the ladder.
That's when I would quit jobs. You give me a job description, I kill it and turn around and hand it to you and say, hey, I killed this. And actually I'm doing these other things too now. And if you say fuck off, I'm like, all right, bye. You know what I mean? Like that I'm out.
And then they fucking miss you when you're gone. I'll tell you that.
I have every single boss has called me and asked me to come back. Every single one.
I bet.
I've never had one that hasn't.
Good. That's how it should be. Good. So glad to hear you're doing great. And that's awesome. Very proud of you. Party Boy Pete, anything you want to say to your legions and legions of adoring fans?
Matt, after stepping on your point, I wanted to say, if you can't have the job you love, baby, love the job you're with. But now I'm just going to say, make it the job that you love, like Diana did. You take that job and you mold it into something that you can, hold on to and make your own.
Yeah. If you're not with the job you love the job you're with.
Yeah, just go to the next one.
That's fucking great. No, nice. You're right. Mold it into the job you want and find where you succeed and just focus on that. And people will be like, hey, if you're good at that, we're fucking gonna pay you to do it. So
someone will eventually. Yeah.
You'd hope so at least. So very nice. Awesome. So this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied as always by the Prince of Party, Party Boy Pete McCormick. Our guest today was the incredible, the dangerous Diana Spencer. You can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can handle us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can go ahead and email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com and we can have your story sent out to the millions and millions of our adoring fans. Well, this is the end of the show. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks for listening. Thanks. Bye. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott and Bell Publishing, where the authors go.